Michael, it was not my intention for this to happen. It was not my intention to be this goddamn tired on the day of the Rage Select podcast. I went to sleep with a good 6 or 7 hours, but the world conspired. It was first it was too cold in my house, and then my stomach was upset, and then my dumbass neighbors let their dog out and just barks forever, and then it's robocalls, and then nightmares, and so all that's gonna say I had about 4 hours of not very good sleep last night, and I'm gonna try to keep my pissy Jeff energy down. I'm gonna kind of try to keep it tamped down and not just be a fucking meh this entire podcast.
Well, it's very similar to the night I had.
Oh
yeah, because I tried to go to sleep and then I had real nasty stomach issues for most of the night.
Right,
I was just I want to murder everything.
There you go. So hey everybody, welcome to the Rage Select podcast. We're all feeling great, and
I have a Coke in my hand.
We're having a great time. Wish I had Coke in my brain. Anyway,
and I'm not talking about the soda.
I'll take whatever. So yes, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Select. We have one big old Nintendo Direct to get to today. But before we do that, I think that we need to take a few minutes to talk about the newest Disney thing that's making everybody very, very mad. And that's the fact that Frozen 2 is going to be a thing. There's going to be a bunch of brand new songs for everybody. Just kidding. No, it's that stupid genie from Aladdin. I couldn't care. Do you care about that?
Not really.
Yeah,
only because that's not my issue with the movie.
Okay, what's your issue with the movie?
As Jafar.
Oh, yeah?
Because he sounds like a teenager. He's like, go get me that lamp, I guess. I'm like, dude, what? I'm not terrified by you at all.
I have to say that I was not upset at Will Smith's horrible genie because, as far as I'm concerned, they fucked up every one of these live action movies that they've made. So if I didn't like the way the Beast looked, I didn't even bother watching that movie. I watched The Jungle Book, and then Christopher Walken saying, I want to be like you, woo woo. And okay, that's kitschy and shit, but maybe somebody who could actually sing and isn't just walking, rapping his way through that movie. And I mean, what else was there? Maleficent got sexually assaulted,
oh, yeah.
And oh my God, Disney, what are you doing over here? I don't need any of this. I don't need any of this. Get the fuck out of here with all this.
Wait, how many live action ones did they make?
I think that it was Maleficent the first one.
It was the first one I can think of.
It's Maleficent, Jungle Book.
Was there a Cinderella one?
Oh, there was, wasn't there? Dude, I don't even care about the animated Cinderella. I don't care about Hans Christian Andersen's Cinderella. Cinderella. I don't care about Cinderella at all. That dumb lady in her glass shoes, she can just go oh no, my dress got ripped, and my fairy godmother's we don't all have fairy godmothers, Cinderella. Quit humble bragging over here.
My favorite reaction is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme of Dennis just going, "Hey, D, they made the genie like a fucked up Will Smith. I don't care." It's shit, I don't care either.
Yeah. So I mean, okay. Here's the thing. I've never really been able to understand this. Okay, so with Disney movies, with anime, and with foreign movies, whenever they remake a thing, I'm just why is this? Why don't I just watch the original? Aladdin holds up fine, right?
It's gorgeous, though.
Yeah. I mean, I can watch it. It was animated by some of the best animators on the planet. It looks great. It's got good songs. I liked it when I was a kid. I could throw it on and be like, hey, there's 90 minutes of my life that was well spent.
Exactly.
And
it's got one of the best direct-to-DVD sequels, which is the third one.
Okay.
It's a legitimately good film.
Well, I've heard a lot about the direct-to-DVD Disney stuff, but I don't know.
And it's the one that I actually really like, which is the third one, because they actually got Robin Williams back for Genie in that one, too.
Oh. So. But see, then, it also goes to they made a live-action Attack on Titan, and it's what's wrong with Attack on Titan? Why don't I just watch Attack on... they made 3 live-action Death Note movies, and I'm why? Yeah. I'm fine watching Death Note, the anime. It's... The reason I like Death Note isn't because of what I'm seeing on the screen, it's because of the story. And so making them into regular people doesn't really affect me all that much. I mean, I kind of like Transformers, but I the original Michael Bay Transformers movie. I still kind of liked that movie, but it was because I'd never seen a live action Transformer,
and
it was a brand new story. Actually, in retrospect, they probably should have just remade the 1986 Transformers.
They really
movie.
should have.
But with
there's a lot of weird live-action remakes. There was a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure one done by Takashi Miike.
There's that Yakuza one that Takashi Miike did too.
Takashi Miike makes a lot of weird remakes. Like I like his Ace Attorney one a lot though.
Yeah,
that one's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
but that JoJo one is not great.
So yeah, all right, let's sum it up. I don't care. You don't care.
Yeah, I just don't.
I liked Frozen all right. So hey, Frozen 2, okay. I mean, sure,
I guess.
Like how many movies have there been between Frozen 1 and now? It's like Coco, Moana.
There's been a few.
One or two others and some Pixar movies in there as well. Wreck-It Ralph, yeah. Wreck-It Ralph 2. Yeah, man, fucking throw out Frozen 2. Put another catchy song in there that children can annoy their parents with because I ain't got none and I don't care. I'll listen to Let It Go. I don't even care. I'll get really drunk and emotional and just be like, I do need to let it go, man. You can't hold me back anymore.
Our laugh is just called Let It Go, too. Like it just has TOO at the end of it for some reason.
Yeah.
I'd be cool with that. I don't know. Like, I just don't give a fuck about these live-action remakes. Like you said, the other ones are still there.
Yep.
Like, if this turned out to suck, I'm just going to watch original Aladdin again. It changes nothing.
Yeah. I was trying to think if there was anything that could be gained from having one of these, but I mean, like...
The diversity of the cast, sure, is cool, but I don't really care either way.
Maybe? I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, I was just trying to think of myself, like, what... Like, I really like The Emperor's New Groove. What if they remade that? And it's like, but I could just watch it. Like, I don't care. Like, I could just watch it. I don't know. So, same thing is true for me, though, of foreign films where they decide to remake, we're going to remake The Ring. And it's just like, why? Just watch The Ring. It's not like the subtitles are going by a mile a minute. And like,
those vary because sometimes they do a good job with those. Sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
But those, like, at least with foreign films, those vary because they were already, like, live action to begin with. Yeah. So there's something there. Something. And
I realize that a lot of people don't like to read subtitles. I'm immune to it at this point. It doesn't.
I am too.
Doesn't bother me one bit. But some people, I know it bothers them, and so whatever.
It keeps my grammar up.
Exactly. The only time that subtitles were ever a problem was when the first Ghost in the Shell standalone complex came out, when it was fan subbed before it was officially subbed, and it was like there were subtitles on the bottom of what they were saying, and then subtitles on the top to explain what they were saying, and it was just like, wait, hold on, back it up. I gotta pause this for a second. Okay, was it section? Okay, all right.
The only time subtitles are a pain in the ass is if two people are definitely talking at the same time.
Yes.
So you're trying to figure out which subtitle is for track is for who for chunks of it.
Yep.
That's not fun.
I also watched Overlord last week.
Oh.
The J.J. Abrams zombie or World War II.
What did you think of that one?
It was fine. I mean, like, it was a couple hours. It kept moving. I liked it. Like, it's one of those things where I would be really happy to just like watch it on Netflix once or twice and then forget that I ever saw it. Like, it's nothing that's gonna like, I'm just like, oh my god, the hidden gem of 2018 or 19 or whenever it came out. This is this year, right?
It was last year. Actually,
it was last year.
If I remember correctly,
but it was fine.
Was that Fantastic Fest or something?
Yeah, it was fine.
I mean, Kurt Russell's son that way.
You know what was really interesting about it was that it almost the entire movie took place at night, which was interesting because I feel like a lot of World War II, a lot of war movies take place mostly during the daytime, so you can see everything, and so kind of having everything at night is also kind of like is kind of a sneaking mission, right? Because it's about this a small group of soldiers that is trying to perform their objective, in the midst of a larger Nazi force, and right, so there's a lot of them sneaking around, and I'm like, hey, that's cool. What it kind of reminded me of was like, what if they made a Resident Evil game that was set during World War II? Like that level of weird insanity when it comes to stuff going on.
A lot of people would tell me it's like a Wolfenstein movie.
See, some people told me that as well, but I think the Resident Evil fixed it a lot better because it's got a lot of kind of like kooky, bizarro nuttiness going on.
More bizarre than Mecha Hitler.
Okay, maybe different bizarre. Okay. How about you? You seen anything, play anything good recently?
I've been playing a lot of Jump Force since our last video.
Yeah.
Because I had originally borrowed Kingdom Hearts 3 originally, and after I got Jump Force, I was like, I'm just gonna not play Kingdom Hearts 3 for a while.
Probably a good decision.
This story makes more sense, and I'll have a lot more fun with this. But it's like a Xenoverse Lite, pretty much exactly like Xenoverse Lite. Because Xenoverse, it extends a lot of stuff because there's a lot of stuff going on the screen. This one's just a one-on-one kind of thing.
Right.
You don't have help from other people, so a lot of fights tend to be kind of short. but that's kind of the part of the issue with it is that you'll start a mission, you'll finish the mission, but there's loading screens that you remember how long they were in between each one.
Yeah.
And so you just do you go in, load screen, beat the mission in like a minute at most, wait for another minute for the loading screen, do it all over again. And the other thing is, you remember how there's like a million cutscenes?
Yes.
Well, right after that part, I mean, literally right after that, where the point where we got to, turns out there's like no cutscenes for a while after that. It's just the thing where like they're silent, but they're like going like this with their hands, going like, I'm talking right now kind of thing.
Right, gesticulating.
And so just a bunch of that
at the bottom
for like 3 hours. And then there's a cutscene in the beginning of a chapter, and then it does the same thing.
Ooh, boy, you're not selling this one super hard.
Well, that's the story stuff. But I'm still having a lot of fun with it because I'm constantly customizing my character. Like I have a Goku outfit and a Kenshiro outfit.
Now wait, hold on. Are you telling me that you did not go home and recreate Plurp Darksteel?
I did not.
Plurp Darksteel is iconic. All right.
Well, I had to start over again, so it didn't really matter. So I made a character. He has a Kamehameha wave, the 100 fists thing that Kenshiro has.
Okay.
The Delaware Smash.
Sure.
And a Solar Kamehameha as a super.
These games are like when you were a kid and you were like writing your own.
That's exactly what it is.
8-year-old fan fiction where you're just like, that's got all of Goku's powers except that also Deku's power. It's Goku and Deku were best friends.
Deku and Kenshiro taught me how to do things.
Half of their powers got transferred to each other. No, yeah.
That's actually what these games are made for, though, is they're made for guys like me who actually still think like that sometimes.
Okay, let me ask you. I want to be here. I'm tamping down the Jeff pissiness for a second, and I want a real clear and concise answer. Is the story any good if you don't already give a shit about the characters? Like, is it a compelling story? Or is it just that? Because it could totally be just like, man, what if Naruto and Deku were in the same game? Like, there's totally an audience for that, right? But, like, the story as I saw it, I could kind of see where it was going, and it seemed like it was kind of dumb. I mean, I'm sorry, but like, it's just boilerplate. Like, oh, we've got to rescue all our friends who have been infected by the dark energy of the new what's his name characters that make their eyes red, and we've got to beat the evil out of them, and then they're going to come back, and we're all going to join together and defeat them. Right? I mean, is it just that? Like,
no, that's what I was going to get to. Is that it's an anime plot that's very basic.
Okay,
but there's like a little character moments between each other. Like when you first have to save Deku, for instance, like when he's being mind controlled, he's thinking he's doing like good things. He's like, I'm gonna be a hero. I'm gonna do the what's right by All Might. And then when you beat him, you're like, yeah, you were doing dumb shit, buddy. And he just feels really bad about it. And
some might say that you were doing it all wrong.
God damn it! I'll right into that one.
I'd pay for that game again if that was in there.
But the game's not bad. Like it's a lot like those other arena games. There's a little more depth to it than, say, J-Star's Victory Versus was.
Okay.
Because you can get out of people's attacks a lot easier, and you can clash things together a lot better with your combos and the moves. Like, I finally figured out a way to get the 100 fist thing that Kenshiro does into an actual combo that lasts, like, forever.
Okay.
And it's so much fun. But, like, but the thing is just... It's still just kind of a Xenoverse game. If you're not into the idea of being the dude who's like, yeah, my character got trained by Goku and Kenshiro Deku kind of thing. If you're not that dude and you don't like the idea of running around for 3 hours trying to get that fucking person's specific outfit,
right,
then you're just not going to have fun with it. That's just what it is. Yeah. Like, I have like half of Deku's outfit because it just gave it to me in other missions I did for the fuck of it. So, like, it's just, if you like Xenoverse, essentially, you'll like the game. But it's like a light version of it, kind of thing. And if you like the characters, you'll like the game too.
I mean, it sounds like what you're coming down to is like you already know, or like if you've already purchased it, then you probably like it. Yeah. And if you haven't, you probably shouldn't spend $60 on it. Like, definitely wait for it to go on sale for $20.
It will go on sale, by the way,
at some point.
Like every one of these anime games goes on sale eventually.
Yes,
so
yeah, absolutely.
I want it. If you're like, maybe I'll get it, just wait. Then it's not going to kill you.
Yep. Well, speaking of things that people should get, we had a Nintendo Direct that was full of gettable materials. You know what? Before we start this, I would just want to say, have I ever told you that I thought about just making essentially Nintendo Directs, but just for like all the trailers that came out this week? Like, just me standing in front of the green screen in a suit, just being like, next up, let's take a look at the new Resident Evil expansion. snap my fingers, and we're just gonna play that trailer because like it's so nice just to have everything bundled together in one little place where you can watch it. And even though they're not all bangers, right? But like this one's kind of medium, I'd say.
How come there aren't more like Nintendo Direct parodies now that I think about it?
I don't know.
Like, how is there not a dude who's just like, and here's and then he snaps, but like nothing happens. He's, dude, what the fuck? Like, he keeps snapping and like shit like that. Like, why isn't there more stuff like that?
Those transitions are not that long. I could totally do that with my Jeff puppet. I could totally just be like, and then just put up my little fingers like they're ready to snap, and then just make a snapping noise and be like, "You can't copyright snaps, Nintendo. You can't copyright playing other people's trailers with the release date at the bottom, you schmucks."
You always have to do like weird, like almost like weird translation people trying to be excited.
Yes.
At the same time, you gotta do that too.
Anyway, yes, we had a Nintendo Direct. This one was actually. This was pretty good. It was chock full. No, I mean, obviously no Metroid because they backed that shit up. We'll get to it, but no Bayonetta. A really kind of insulting. There is a part. This is somebody who now cares about Smash Brothers. They were like, "Hey, there's a new 3.0 update coming for Smash Brothers. What's in it? You'll find out later." And it's just like, fuck you.
It was kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. Although I love the fact that they were like, "But here's Snake and Simon amiibos." I'm like, okay, you got me back, motherfucker.
They're like, "Remember, spend money on Fighter Pack 1 because Joker's going to be in it." I'm just like, I already knew that, you asses. Fuck faces. Anyway.
What else is there? Fuck you, that's what.
We started out with Super Mario Maker 2. Not Super, just Mario Maker 2. Which is going to be on the Switch, and it looks like do you remember Mario Maker 1 did it have the new Super Mario Brothers palette in it?
It always had the new Super Mario Brothers, but I don't remember it having Super Mario World though.
I thought it did,
because I remember it having 1, 3, and new Super Mario Brothers. Wait, no, it was. I think it's Super Mario Brothers 2 that it doesn't have in any way.
Oh, okay.
But I don't remember if it had Super Mario World. My roommate played it more than I did because I had it for a bit.
In any case, I mean, this looks like more Super Mario Brothers. If that's what you're into. I've always been, kind of slightly like, I'm not.
I love the idea of it.
I'm just not super interested in making my own levels. Like, the creation aspect does very little for me, and then there's the actual playing of the like, here's a super goddamn hard level that only 2 people in the world have ever finished. I'm like, I don't care about that. Of course, I was listening to one of my podcasts, and I did hear a thing where it's like, some guy made a Mario Maker level, and it is finishable because the thing is you can't publish it until you yourself can beat the level, and then apparently he's spent something like 800 hours trying to beat his own level, which he knows is possible and just hasn't managed to do it yet. But as soon as it's done, it'll be like the new gold standard fuck off level. So
I've heard of a couple of stories like that, actually.
Yeah, I don't know, like it's a great idea. Like, it's a wonderful idea, and for all those people that want to like make their own thing, that's great. It's just that I get tired at the end of the day.
The meme title, I think, is my favorite title, which is if you assholes are so smart, just make it yourselves.
Right. So yeah, Super Mario Maker 2. We got a new, I don't know, not really a whole lot of information, but just a new trailer for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, right?
Yes.
It's got
a lot more like little gameplay things, like showing the
actual gameplay,
the actual hitting, like, because that was the thing about the first trailer I saw, and a lot of the issues I had with some of the old ones is that I didn't feel like if I was hitting the enemy sometimes.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of like weight to each hit in this trailer. That makes me kind of excited.
There's definitely a part where they made a real point to mention Captain Marvel and be like, you characters like Captain Marvel,
like this person.
Check out all of her hot movies. Let me ask you a question. Do you read comics?
Yes.
Like when I left comics, Captain Marvel was Novar, right? And him and Rick, he was just this serial killer Kree guy that Rick Jones kept trying to be like, quit killing people, Novar. And like, I haven't been keeping up with the trailers for Captain Marvel, but like, I'm not really super excited about Captain Marvel. Like, I'm still kind of waiting to see like, what is your thing, Captain Marvel? Like, what's your deal that makes you interesting? See,
my issue with Captain Marvel is that I don't know a lot about that the actual like Marvel Captain Marvel, because that's the thing is when I think Captain Marvel, I don't think Marvel's Captain Marvel still.
Right.
Like I always think of what people know now as Shazam.
Oh,
and so I'm a little bitter still when it comes to the name part of it.
Yeah.
And I think one of my favorite things was the like not too long ago Nova had came back to life or something, and they were talking about he was talking to the new Miss Marvel, which is that girl that can like stretch stuff out kind of thing.
Oh yeah, okay.
And he's just like, oh, I thought Carol was Miss Marvel. He's like, well, he's Captain Marvel now, but Captain Marvel's dead. It's like, well, Carol's not. And the entire issue, or that issue, but that entire panel is him like being caught up on stuff.
Okay.
He sees other people. He's like, I'm Spider-Man. He's like, was Spider-Man dead? He's like, no. And they're like, well, it's like, and then he sees Cyclops. He's like, I'm Cyclops from the past, but I came to the future and now I'm stuck here and the present one is dead. And he just goes, I hate everything about that sentence.
Comics. Anyway,
it's the perfect thing to show somebody who doesn't read comics is that's their reaction every fucking time.
Yep. Anyway, summer 2019, summer this year, we're getting that. We got I don't know if this is like an expansion, Box Boy and Box Girl. But
I swear I've seen this game before somewhere.
I did a search for it, and all I came up with was this announcement, so I don't know, but I could be wrong. This could be an expansion. Could be a brand new game.
Maybe it's another trailer.
Pretty fun little platformer out in April. I don't know. It's copyright HAL Laboratories Nintendo. Was the previous one on the Nintendo?
It might have been the 3DS game.
Oh, okay.
This is Smash Brothers one, yeah. So just like
jump over that.
It's going to show up. Fuck you. That's what.
Yeah. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is getting some new stuff. Apparently, there's a new free update where all of the levels in Captain Toad Treasure Tracker can now be played in 2-player co-op. So if you want to play as Toad and Toadette together, you can totally do that now. And then there's also some new DLC with a bunch of new levels. I played a little bit of Captain Toad, and it always seemed like a really cool little thing. I just never really kind of stuck with it, right? I'm
really glad that it became a successful thing, because the guy who originally had pitched it as a Zelda thing, and apparently the first time he showed it to Miyamoto, he's like, you want to make like a diorama to sell kind of thing? He's like, no, I want to make a game like this. He's like, I guess. And so he wanted to do like Zelda, but he's like, well, could you make it like Mario related? He's like, well, Mario is only about jumping, so I'll make it Toad and give him a heavy ass backpack to explain that, I guess.
Yep. No, I don't know. I like the idea of a Mario game that doesn't have any jumping in it.
It works though. That's the thing, is it works really well, and I'm really glad it is.
Yep. Let's see. From there, we get. I'm doing this as we're looking at it. We got a new Bloodstained Ritual of the Night trailer. I'm like kind of up in the air about this game. I really hope it's good. It's weird. Whenever I see it, the environments seem very sparse. Like there just doesn't seem to be a lot going on in the environments. But hopefully I just need to go play it.
Well, it's for me, the thing that makes me still just like, well, I don't know, is what happened with Mighty Number 9.
Yeah,
because Mighty Number 9 was one of those things where like it looks so great, and then it came out, and I'm like, this is pure garbage.
Yeah,
and so I'm just gonna like sit back, wait to see how it is when it comes out. If everyone says it's good, then I'll get it. If not, I'll be like, well, it was a nice try.
I really hope that it just makes enough for them to keep making stuff.
Absolutely.
But that's going to be out in the summer. I don't know if did that have a release date before this?
Not that I know of.
I don't think so. So let's see from there. Dragon Quest Builders 2 was announced. At least I haven't seen an announcement for it before. Did you ever play any Dragon Quest Builders?
I did not.
Dragon Quest Minecraft, basically.
I remember hearing the story is that you're the only one who can build stuff for some reason.
Yep, everybody's forgotten how to build anything, and you're the only one left who can figure that out. There's a few new things in the world. The map is like the 2D Dragon Quest, and you can go underwater, and at least that's what I remember them saying in the trailer. You can fight in first-person mode, which is a little bit closer to what the original Dragon Quest looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's strange to me that this franchise got a sequel. I don't know what the sales numbers were. I guess when they already had the game made, it was easy enough just to, like, churn out some new assets and make a sequel for it. But it's still strange to me that the Dragon Quest themed Minecraft ripoff is apparently the only Minecraft ripoff that really
got anywhere.
Yeah.
There's one other one, but I can't remember what it was called.
Lego Worlds didn't do shit, as near as I can tell.
There's a couple of them, but I don't remember. That's the thing, is I don't remember them because they did, I guess, poorly.
Yeah.
But I guess Dragon Quest had enough money. They're like, fuck it. And then there's another one.
Yeah. That's out in June. And then Dragon Quest 11 is also getting like a kind of an enhanced edition that's coming out on the Switch. Let's see, Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition in the fall. It's got a couple of like story expansions. The thing I find really interesting about it is apparently you can play the entire game like it's an old school Dragon Quest game. You could switch literally to 2D top down with sprites,
which I think is awesome.
Like all the way to the battle system, and they like reworked all the music in like MIDI so that it sounds. Yeah, it's strange. I mean, when we played this game, I could see how that would work because it kind of. It still feels like kind of a weird throwback, like when I was playing it. But, yeah. So if you were looking for an excuse to play Dragon Quest, you got this one. I guess you got Dragon Quest Builders as well. You got two good excuses to play some Dragon Quest.
If you want more Toriyama, here's your Dragon Quest.
Yep. Man, that guy's all over the place these days. It's like a fucking rash. All right.
More Dr. Slump, though.
So somebody in this world needs to explain Tsum Tsum to me, because it looks like they made all of the Disney characters into rats.
Yeah,
and they're stuffed animals.
Yeah, I stocked them when I worked for Target a long time ago, and they sucked, kind of thing, because they're like about the size of like I guess the palm of my hand. Like they're like the size of a Twinkie almost,
right?
Kind of thing. They're real cheap, but apparently they're really popular, and I think they make Marvel ones now too.
Oh my god. Well, they kind of, it's almost like I can almost see that they kind of make sense with Mickey and Minnie because they're mouse-sized-ish. Anyway, all this is to say that there is a game called Disney Tsum Tsum Festival that is coming to the Switch that is just like some kind of weird mini game collection where you play as these weird rat Disney creatures. And I'm like, okay, so, yes, there's Mickey and Minnie, but there's also like Beast for Beauty and the Beast and Tigger and like Pluto.
Yeah.
And so Eeyore, I don't know. It's kind of bizarre. It's kind of bizarre.
It's an abomination.
I can honestly say my interest in this is literally nil. Like,
I don't really know whose idea this was, but fuck them.
I mean, but like for babies, maybe. I mean, for like little babies, right? That like, or I'm sorry, if you're listening to this and you're a big fan of these, like, I'm not calling you a baby. I'm just trying to understand.
I'm just saying you have a lot of Beanie Babies, probably.
I'm just saying that you're like a baby. So yeah, that's coming out. Anyway, Starlink Battle for Atlas is getting a new expansion. This is specifically Star Fox content with Star Wolf's mercenary crew has come in, and now Peppy, Falco, and Slippy are all new playable characters, because in Starlink, like each pilot has their own like individual power set that levels up. So they're going to be new pilots that you can play in this new set of missions. I find it really bizarre that the best Star Fox game to come out since
the 64 one,
64, I guess, is like a Ubisoft game.
Yeah, because the GameCube one was okay, I guess. But yeah, it's crazy that like this is a better Star Fox game than the last one they made.
Than that one that they spent like 3 years making for the Wii U.
For a long time.
They just refused to take that fucking the motion controls off.
Like, it has to work this way, and it's like, no, you guys fucked this up entirely. And I like Star Fox.
Yeah,
and it had like a tower defense game with it too.
That was like a spin-off?
It was like a Slippy spin-off.
Yeah, Slippy's tower defense game that you could... Yeah, geez, Nintendo. You always got to remember that Nintendo's good a lot of times, but sometimes they're not good, too.
Sometimes they just fuck up. And then sometimes you beat Star Fox 2 with Slippy, like we did that last time.
Oh, yeah? When they put that out on the
Slippy
SNES.
is Rage Select's, like, champion for some reason because of it.
So bizarre. That was so bizarre. Like, what?
That's pretty amazing, though.
Yeah, so Starlink update is happening in April. You know what's weird about this, though? Just one more thing before we get off of this. Like, not only is it a better Star Fox game than a lot of the Star Fox games that are out there, but I feel like it's also one of the better Ubisoft games to come out over the last couple of years as well. Like, it's totally got the wretched stink of the toys for, you got to buy the toys, right, and snap them all together.
Yeah.
But, like, still, like, it's pretty solid. Like, what I played of it was pretty solid.
Well,
so.
compared to the complaints of every Ubisoft game that's come out for some time, Starlink, came off pretty good.
I mean, it's like it actually used those assets of having a map that was too full of everything, but like in a, I don't know, in a way that was somewhat charming. Either that, or I'm just jonesing for like any space combat game because they don't make them anymore. Like anything that's not X3 or Elite Dangerous. Anywho, from there we had some more weird shovelware. Let's see. There's actually this is not. Apparently this is a thing. Rune Factory 4 was a 3DS game where you like played as an anime person and then you did chores and you fought battles and then you get married, and it's like half Harvest Moon, half also.
You don't want to get anime married, Jeff?
Dungeon crawler to you? Are you asking?
Sure.
Is this a proposal on the podcast?
Sure, I'll get you insurance or something.
Oh, man, I could use some health insurance. Anyway, this was a 3DS game, and they're porting it over to the Switch, and then they're also using that. They also use this opportunity to announce. What's it called? Rune Farm, Rune Select,
Rune Factory,
Rune Factory. There you go. Rune Factory 5 is also in development. So there have been 5 of these motherfuckers. Apparently, somebody's playing them. Although I did notice that it is a Xseed Games published by Marvelous, which means that it really could be anything because they made a sequel to The Witch and the 100 Knight, and I guarantee you that game did not sell more than 400 copies.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that was a really big thing in Japan, but I played The Witch and the 100 Knight, and I was just like, I don't see who's going to be buying this.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. Let's see. From there, we got a new JRPG called what's this thing called? Oniyaki. Oninaki, which, if I'm not mistaken, is from the this is from the I Am Setsuna. I spelled it wrong. I typed in Onika and it basically just put Nicki Minaj up on. I'm like,
did you mean Nicki Minaj? Like, no, Google, what the fuck?
No, I did not. I left out one letter, and I did not mean Nicki Minaj. Wait, hold on. There should be a thing in this one that I have up. Oninaki. Yep. So this is coming from the team behind Lost Sphere and I Am Setsuna, which, if I'm not mistaken, is like that Tokyo RPG group or whatever. Tokyo RPG Factory is
Oh, okay.
That's what I was thinking. They got a really dumb generic name. Yeah, and this looks like it's very much kind of in that oeuvre, right? Like,
yeah.
Top down, some kind of like decent 3D work, some RPG stuff. Did you play either one of those? I Am Setsuna or the
I did not.
Lost Sphere?
I don't really have as much time for RPGs as I'd like anymore.
Yeah, I played a little bit of I Am Setsuna.
I heard good things, though. Also couldn't stop thinking of Gundam 00, because that guy's the main character's name, Setsuna.
Oh, okay. Anyway, that's coming out in the summer. I mean, it's got some kind of like, you got to go to the land of spirits to people despair. There's reincarnation.
Sounds like an RPG,
some JRPG shit. I mean, I like JRPG stuff, but like, it's what? Yoshi's Crafted World got some new information talking about just kind of various stuff that you can do. I'm not going to pretend like I like this game or that I know very much about it. What several weeks back, or like a month or two ago, somebody accused me of, like, if I don't care about a thing, not doing any research into it. And yeah, that's very true in a lot of cases. I'm sorry, but like, if I don't give a shit, that's just a Yoshi game. Everybody knows that I'm not Yoshi's biggest fan. And
it's just another one of those kinds of Yoshi Island kind of games. And that's really what it comes down to.
Yep.
If it's not your thing, then you're not going to like any of the things after it.
Yeah,
it's not my thing either, so I'm not really interested in either.
I mean, of what I played of like Yoshi's Woolly World, like it was a well-made game that I had no interest in ever playing again. I mean, it's like when you and Amanda played that Kirby game, and I'm like, oh, that looks like a perfectly functional video game that I have zero interest in playing. So yeah, Yoshi's Crafted World is coming out in March, at the end of March. Okay, so we got some actual real meaty information here in the middle about the new Fire Emblem game, which is Fire Emblem Three Houses, which, so here's the thing where I actually paid attention because I do care about Fire Emblem. 3 nations that are kind of at peace. And in the middle, there's like this monastery where people go to train as mercenaries, and your character is a mercenary who develops some kind of special power, and then you go to that monastery and you end up being a teacher. And so people from all 3 of the houses come to the monastery to get taught. And so as you can, I'm sure that you can guess, there is a shitload of dialogue and people talking to each other. There's going to be some Randy shenanigans in there, and like
a whole lot of shipping.
Getting into people flirting with each other, bunch of buxom anime girls that are they're very embarrassed because they like boys, and the some guys, they don't know what they're doing. There's that one guy, and he's very brash, but his heart's pure, and this is all speculation.
There's going to be the one like small child who's 300 years old, probably.
Probably so. It looks like she's 12, but she's actually a dragon or some bullshit like that. There's already a slutty teacher in the trailer. In any case, this is the perfect setup for a Fire Emblem game. Like, you know, the last few Fire Emblem games, it was like the last one was a remake of like the first one or the second one, and the one before that on the 3DS was the one where there was like 2 entirely different campaigns.
Yeah. I have the light side of that one.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to play this game twice.
You have to do it 3 times, actually.
Do you?
Yeah, because there's a light, a dark, and then a middle ground.
I don't want to be... Get the gray Jedis out of this bullshit, man.
So basically, like, the explanation for this sounds like a Harry Potter game.
Yep.
But you get to be
your battle teacher.
Fucking what's his name? Hans Gruber. Shit, what's his name?
Snape.
So you're Snape in the game, basically. I'm cool with this.
I think you're more of a McGonagall, actually. I mean, it seems like your students all like you. You don't get to just dole out punishments all the time and be like, "Oh, Mr. Potter, you suck so hard. 6 million points from Gryffindor. I want to bang your mom."
These are all things that happen. By
congratulations, you don't need to read Harry Potter anymore because that's all that it is, pretty much. So, yeah, the actual battle stuff looks like a Fire Emblem battle. I don't know. It's weird. The backgrounds look a little tepid for my taste. Like, I don't know. The characters...
I feel like that was always something Fire Emblem did.
Yeah.
The backgrounds and the battles were just kind of like, eh.
The characters look fine. I feel like they were just a little bit, like the characters were bigger on the screen on the 3DS version, which makes sense, so that you didn't really see it as much. But
yeah.
Everything that I'm seeing here makes this look like a Fire Emblem game, and that's great. I mean, Fire Emblem Awakening, was that the 2 or 3 ago? Was actually supposed to be like the last one.
Yeah, it was supposed to be canceled after that.
Yeah.
And they're like, we have no more money after this, and then they made all the money.
Yeah, and then it did so well that they kept going. So, and you know what? I'm really, really glad because I just don't have the fortitude to play one of these on a handheld. Like, no. I need it on a TV that I could sit on my couch, drink a beer, and play some tactical Fire Emblem. So I'm actually really, really excited for this. Like, I think it looks really good. Everything that I saw of the voice acting, got a lot of full on anime, just straight up animated anime in it. Yeah, everything I'm seeing about this looks great. I don't know. Are you a fan of these games at all?
I'm about 50-50 because I never really played them all that much.
Yeah.
Like, I played one of them for a little bit, and I never finished it. And I liked what I did play, but I got a full-time job around the time I started it.
Right.
And so I never got around to finishing it. And I never played I didn't play Awakening, but I like all the characters and I like their character designs because I've used a lot of them in Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So it's like, I like the idea of it. I like the idea of Fire Emblem a lot, but I've never really been into Fire Emblem, I guess.
All the Fire Emblem characters and the Xenogears characters all run together where whenever I'm watching anybody play online with Smash Brothers and one of those characters comes up, I'm just like, oh, it's one of those 6 jackasses. Because there's a whole bunch of them from either Fire Emblem or... And what's funny is that I like Fire Emblem a lot, but I'm like, Robin? Really?
There's so many Fire Emblem characters.
Get the fuck out of here with that. It's Chrom?
Chrom is one, yeah.
Fire Emblem. Anyway, from there, we got back to the kind of rapid-fire announcement stuff. This is a very strange one. Tetris 99, where apparently you can do Battle Royale with Tetris now.
Yeah, my roommate messaged me while we were doing this podcast, and he got 3rd place.
Oh, nice. Nice. Where it's apparently just like online Tetris where you're playing against 99 other people. and you got to fight back and keep your Tetraminos Tetrisizing.
Fucking crazy, by the way.
Yes.
Did you ever play multiplayer Tetris when the first one came out?
I played okay. When you say the first one, do you mean like
the original Game Boy one?
Or the Game Boy one?
Because
sure,
I had a link cable and I played against my cousin and I lost every fucking time.
I'm more of a puzzle fighter guy. I'm not as much a Tetris guy.
That's fair.
Tetris is fine. I kind of prefer to play Tetris by myself. It's like, you ever go bowling?
Yeah.
You know how? Are you good at bowling?
I'm not as good as it used to be.
Okay.
I used to be bad ass.
So, like, for me, in the original, it's like there's a point where when you're bowling, I'm really bowling against myself more than I'm bowling against the other people because I suck. And so anytime I manage not to suck, I'm just like, take that, me.
See, I bowl with my brothers and my dad.
Yeah.
And so it becomes this huge thing where we all have to beat each other.
Okay.
And it's so goddamn competitive.
But that's what I feel like when I play Tetris, where I'm like, I'm not into playing against somebody else in Tetris. I'm just looking to like last as long as I can, all by my lonesome. But apparently this is free. So if you've got a Switch and you want to play Tetris 99...
Well, you have to have the online, Nintendo Online. So
online
it's free like Netflix movies are free.
If you don't have the online, can you play it can you just play straight up Tetris on your own?
I'm not sure on that one.
I don't know about that either. From there, we got a few announcements of games, that are coming to the Switch. Dead by Daylight was one of them. I don't know if this trailer was like badly captured or whatever, but boy, this game looks like shit on the Nintendo Switch.
It does not look great.
I feel like they split the difference of trying to deal with the resolution drop by like dropping the fidelity of like the shadows and stuff, and I almost feel like they should have gone back and just made it super bright and colorful instead, like taking out all the shadows, because yeesh.
Yeah, they should have just changed the way it was, because it looks not so great. I think it's the best way of putting it.
Yeah. Also,
it looks like the low setting of a PC game.
It doesn't even seem to have like a consistent frame rate in this trailer.
Yeah.
So anyway, but if you want to play Dead by Daylight, that's coming out in the fall. Deltarune is going to be out. The Undertale sequel?
I think it's like a sequel.
Sort
I
of?
started it, but I didn't get very far.
Okay.
And it was free on PC.
Yep, and it's free on the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, nice.
So, on the 28th of February, you can download Deltarune for free. Demon X Machina got an announcement for a demo that came out. We actually already played this, but of a thing called Prototype Missions, where it's like they put in a certain number of missions and you can kind of play it. As somebody who's actually played this game, I could tell you that it reminds me an awful lot of From Software's
the Armored Core series.
Yeah.
Which you say like it's a bad thing.
Well, I mean, for me, like Armored Core is okay. Like when Amanda and I were playing it. Okay, so here's the thing: when Amanda and I were playing Demon X Machina, we'd be like playing, and then suddenly like there'd be this really long conversation between two pilots that stopped the action and drove it to a standstill, and it was like, I don't know who any of you are, and I don't know what's going on in this world, and so this means like I'm like, maybe just let me shoot at stuff. So I don't know.
We'll see how it goes when it comes out.
Hopefully that's just because it's a demo. I mean, almost certainly. Grid Autosport is coming to the Switch because I guess that's a thing people like.
People like racing games.
Are there any racing games outside of Mario Kart on the Switch right now?
Not that I can think of, yeah.
Are there any racing games outside of Mario Kart on anything, right? Is that Gran Turismo?
No, there's quite
Forza,
a few, actually. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, right.
But Switch isn't really known for wanting these kinds of things.
Yeah.
Although, isn't there like another game coming out for the Switch like that?
A racing game?
Yeah. That I heard about not too long ago. I have to look that up later.
I'm not sure. My brain refuses to cooperate with anything outside of talking about what I'm seeing right in front of my face.
I'd have to look it up.
Hellblade is also coming to the Switch. And all of these, Hellblade and Dead by Daylight and Grid, they all kind of look a little, eh. I mean, I guess, Hellblade relies a lot on the facial features of the main actress. So if you haven't had a chance to play Hellblade and you've got a Switch, like I liked Hellblade quite a bit. And especially if they put it out at one of the, when it originally came out, it was like $30, right?
Yeah.
If they put it out at that price, it's good.
Well, it seems to be a running theme with Switch ports is that they always look a little worse than their counterparts in other ones. So
speaking of which, also Mortal Kombat 11, which is coming out on the Switch, which there's parts of this trailer that look like they're definitely a little bit lower resolution than the things that we've seen in other places.
I would laugh so hard if there's like a Super Nintendo mode where it makes all the blood green.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be the best.
That'd be awesome. Or maybe like a Dragon Quest where they make a whole 2D Mortal Kombat.
I would buy that so fast though.
Take those characters and just do them in the old fighting animations.
I'd play that so fucking fast though.
Yep. Also, Unravel 2, which, okay, that one works.
Yeah.
Totally put Unravel 2 on there. Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, which that's not out on the other things.
Not yet. Also, why would anyone want to buy Assassin's Creed 3 again?
It's a really good question. It also doesn't look as good as Assassin's Creed 3 looked when it came out on like the PlayStation 3, and it does have all the DLC and what's her name, Avalon or
I don't even remember,
Adeline or whatever her name is. Who was the best part of that game? So.
King George thing.
Yeah. Square Enix dropped by to show a few more things. They're putting out that janky Final Fantasy VII port that's on the PC. So,
hooray!
If you haven't purchased Final Fantasy VII in one of the 80 incarnations that have existed, hey, you can buy it on your Switch now. Also, Chocobo Dungeon Battle Mystery Dungeon Everybody is a thing. And Final Fantasy IX is on the Switch, and it's out right now. I've actually seen some reports that are just like, this is, again, the exact same thing that's on Steam, bugs and all.
Oh, wow.
Exactly the same. So that's Square for you. Just re-releasing Final Fantasies.
They need money from all that Kingdom Hearts that they're selling.
Yeah. No, Kingdom Hearts is a smash international hit that'll make them all the money. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
They don't need any money anymore. They got Kingdom Hearts, obviously. Just buy a whole other company. They could buy Bandai now.
Yeah, exactly.
Square Enix Bandai.
Namco.
Yeah. From there, we got something that was really interesting. This is a Platinum Games game called, oh, God, I did not do this well.
Something Chain.
What the heck? Astral Chain. There we go. This looks really good. It looks like it's full of dumb anime nonsense, and I really like it.
Kamina's great about that.
Yep, Kamina's working on, he's overseeing producer or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like future cops that have weird cyber stands from dojos that are chained to them.
It's pretty awesome looking, actually.
Yeah, and the whole thing is done in a style that you can really tell the difference between a game like this that feels like it was built from the ground up for the Switch, and then all those weird port videos that we were just watching.
Yeah, you gotta love Nintendo's ability or willingness to give Platinum Games just money for shit. I love them for that.
Yep. I mean, I was actually looking Platinum Games, their last game was technically Nier, right?
Yeah.
And then before that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and before that was the Transformers one.
Was that?
I think that was the way that it went.
I think Wonderful 101's in there somewhere.
Oh, but that's way back. Because, it's Bayonetta 2.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, Dragon Scale that got canceled. But anyway, this looks really cool, and it looks weird and wacky and dumb, and it's got a good battle system. And hey, man, that's all you really need, at least for me.
They're great at it, though, so I'm very excited.
Yeah,
they've rarely have ever, if at all, disappointed me.
I was really confused though during the trailer, though. Whenever the protagonists are talking, it's always the guy and the girl with the same dialogue.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering if at the beginning of the game you're going to get to choose one or the other, and if Platinum Games has finally figured out how to make a trailer where they don't piss anybody off because they just show both people equally and then just play both their dialogues at the same time because they're saying the same thing, and that's what's happening.
I just realized I think I got his name wrong. It's Kamiya with a Y.
Yes,
that's my fault.
Yes. This is coming out
summer,
July, August 30th.
Oh, I was close.
Oh,
a lot of it's summer on this video. So
for Texas, it's summer.
Yeah.
Oh, also after that, we got basically the Super Smash Brothers equivalent of Bayonetta news, which was also they're still working on Bayonetta 3.
Yay!
Next up, let's talk about something else.
Now we have something you'll really enjoy.
Yeah. this is what they finished up with. I don't think. I mean, did you see this coming? I didn't see this coming.
I didn't, because it's not a game I expected anybody to remake anytime soon.
Yeah, Link's Awakening, the Game Boy, the Game GB, Game Boy Zelda game is getting a remake on the Switch, and it's real like weird and shiny and kind of like looks like toys almost.
Yeah, he kind of looks like an old Disney character sometimes.
Yeah,
like in certain shots, he's got like Mickey eyes, and everything looks kind of plasticky.
Yeah,
it's very strange, but based, the fact that it has like Mario characters in it to begin with, and the actual plot of it.
I forgot about this game.
Because the plot of it is that it's like, well, the twist is that it's a dream. It's literally why it's called Link's Awakening, because you're literally just trying to get him to wake the fuck up from like having crashed his boat kind of thing. And so it's like it has that dream feeling to it because of it. And I think that's what they were trying to go for.
Okay. Works for me. I mean, like you and I think have both heard some stories of people that were upset that it wasn't, I guess, a little bit more realistic looking. But like, I don't know, man. When you're doing Zelda from that top-down perspective, like, there's some limits. I mean, Link's going to be a little squat sprite in the middle of the screen, so
I love top-down Zelda games, though. They're my favorite.
Yeah,
and I'll probably play this when it comes out.
Hey, man, if that happened, then I could still hold out hope for a Minish Cap re-release at some point.
I hope they make it longer, though, because that game is notoriously short, too.
Really?
Yeah, because it's an old Game Boy game, so you couldn't really make it that much longer.
Because you have to play it in the car on the way to Grandma's house, so it can only be, right?
So it could be beaten very easily.
Yeah. And that was a Nintendo Direct. Let us know down in the comments. What did you think was awesome about that Nintendo Direct? And what did you think was poopy bananas about that Nintendo Direct? Also, this almost never happens, Michael, but I just remembered something that I saw last week that I didn't come up in any of my news, and that is that we got a new Mortal Kombat character announcement.
Oh, yes, I heard about this.
I actually watched the Kombat cast for it. Jade is in Mortal Kombat. Jade. Also, do you ever watch the Kombat cast?
I have not.
Okay. As somebody who does live streams, and as somebody who has done a lot of live streams while hungover, and as somebody who's gotten very pissy on a lot of live streams, those motherfuckers get touchy. Like, the main guy on there, he was straight up vindictive on this one towards his co-host. Like, last time his co-host won when they had their little one-on-one, and so he went and practiced one character really hard and then got really cocky about kicking his friend's ass on the show, and the other two people on the show were just like, dude, dial it back a little bit. Like, he made them, like, put the camera directly on him so she used to be like, so like I won, right? And like it was like, oh, dude, this is a bad Sally, this is a bad look, man.
Oh, God.
Anyway, not a lot to say here. Jade was announced as a character. She looks really awesome. She got the stick. I actually watched some of the stuff about her different moves. Apparently she's not super great up close, but she's really good at like zone defense.
Yeah, she's always had that long ass staff.
Yeah, and yeah, she's got some really interesting moves. Like, and she looks really interesting. Like, they had a few of her different outfits. She's got some. I like the fact that because they've got one of the things I didn't really realize, but because they've got so many different outfits, like there's a lot of like she's got one outfit with her face mask off, right? Oh. So like the ninjas, I feel like a lot of the ninjas have a face like mask off mode because of all the customization.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of SubZero footage like that too.
Yeah. But she looks like a really cool character. And again, nothing I'm seeing about Mortal Kombat makes me sad, and all of it makes me happy, and I want to play it, and I want to play it now. Please let me play it now. I should email them, because I know they're letting YouTubers play this shit. Like, the number of YouTube channels is like, all the character interactions between Baraka and SubZero, and I'm like, motherfucker, I know you got some copy of this somewhere. Anyway, every part of this game is looking badass. And I'm loving it.
It's pretty exciting still. Every time they come up with something new with it.
Yep.
It's one of the few franchises that has a plot that I actually care about.
Oh, they did say, though, in the Kombat cast, their next one, they're going to be talking explicitly about the mobile game. And I'm just like, all right, come on. So that's awesome. Things that are not awesome. The list includes many things.
Yes.
Like food that's too spicy, dogs barking when you're trying to sleep, But way up towards the top is Bobby Kotick.
Yeah.
What a fucking shit weasel Bobby Kotick is.
Terrible person.
Actually, you know what? I feel like a lot of people probably already talked about this, but I just want to say briefly, I am on the side of like, if you guys had a really, really great year at your company and you still laid off like 8% of your fucking workforce, then there's something wrong. There is something dramatically wrong with what you're doing and your fucking business. If you own Blizzard and you cannot make enough money, like Blizzard notoriously is a company that just like makes enough money for each one of their releases to just coast on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, basically, here's how it goes. Activision laid off about 8% of their staff, and that's all the way across the board. Activision, Blizzard, King. Apparently at Blizzard, none of the actual game people got laid off. It was all in their esports division.
Oh, okay. That one makes some sense.
Yeah. But, I mean, just like, fuck, man. But this is like at the end of... Okay, in 2018, Blizzard, or Activision, Blizzard did very well, but they didn't meet their fucking projected goal. So the arbitrary bullshit that they tell investors, like, we're going to see a 7% growth margin in 2018, and then they hit like 5%, and then it's like, oh, well, we were failures last year, better lay off a bunch of people. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate this shit. Like, it makes me mad because I feel like I don't know anything about this. This is me talking about my ass, but part of me feels like we might be edging up against not necessarily a crash, but a reckoning between the way that EA has just been like super, super profit hungry. Activision has been super profit hungry. Like Bethesda seems like they're super profit hungry. Fucking Blizzard with Diablo Immortal seems like they're super profit hungry. Like everybody seems like they're just like that no matter how much money they make, it's not enough money. And I feel like that within the next year or two, if they keep pushing this shit, that you're going to see a concerted backlash by gamers where it's just like, and I think that it would start with something as easy as just like, fuck you, EA, I'm not buying your games. Like, I'm not buying. Now, by all accounts, everything that I've seen, people seem like they're having a pretty good time with Anthem so far. They got early access to it. But like, I think it would only take a few more of these to maybe finally get people to the point where they're just like, fucking eat my asshole, EA. Like, you're not on the, we're just not going to buy this shit anymore.
They got really close with the Star Wars thing.
I know.
Like I was going through the sales in the PS4, and Battlefront 2 is like $6 on there right now on sale. It's like, you guys fucked this up bad.
I mean, like Square Enix is, I don't know. They cut IO loose after they made them divide Hitman up into episodic chunks, and then were upset that it didn't sell well enough. And it was just like, oh, god damn you dudes. Like, I mean, there's very few companies out there that I can think of that are just doing super right by their customer right now, outside of maybe CD Projekt Red, but they haven't released a game in, well, I guess they released...
Well, they're still working on one, so...
Well, they released Thronebreaker at the end of last year. Technically, that was a game, but...
Oh, yeah.
Capcom, when Capcom looks good, when Capcom's a good, like, looks like a good company, like, ooh, Jesus Christ. But anyway, fuck you, Activision and Blizzard. I still like Overwatch. I actually still like most Blizzard's games, but I don't know.
Yeah, I still play the Death and Return of Superman every now and then.
What's that?
I still play the Death and Return of Superman every now and then.
Was that a Blizzard game?
It is, technically.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough.
It's got their name in the title. It's got a little bat.
Okay. So keep this in mind, everybody. Keep in mind that Activision is kind of a scummy bunch of scum fucks who are they cut. No, was it EA? No, it was Activision that cut. No, it was EA. It was EA. God, Jeff, please don't get those confused again. They cut Bungie loose.
Yeah.
Like, they fucked with Destiny for 4 years, and then they were just like, not making enough money. Bye. And it's like, God damn, dude. How much money is enough money to just, like, have a business, right? Like, I don't know.
Activision's really, really scummy, because there was that time when Atari was like selling off a bunch of stuff they were making.
Yeah.
And Ghostbusters, the video game, almost didn't get made because Activision almost said no a bunch of times.
Oh, yeah.
And the same with Brutal Legend. That was the same thing. There were a lot of IPs that were up in the air because of it.
Well, what the fuck do they even make anymore? Like Activision, they make Call of Duty and that's it, right?
Yep.
Like, I mean, at least at one point it was. I remember the year that I went to E3 and I went to the Activision booth, and it was like Call of Duty Ghosts was that year, and like Skylanders. That was like all that was there, and like all these big beautiful booths that were full of interesting games. And you go to Activision, big old Activision, is just like, all right, that's it. You know, launch is that thing. Fuck, what's it called? The Call of Duty. It was like a front end that would let you like look at your stats and like see what the weekly tournaments were, like Elite, like Call of Duty Elite or whatever.
If I remember correctly,
is that still a thing?
I think so.
Close that down.
I know that. Like, weren't they also the ones who released the re-releases for Crash and Spyro?
Were those Sony?
No, but I think they're the ones who released it, though, Activision, because I think they have the rights, I think, because it's released on everything. It's not just the Sony game.
I don't know.
I'll have to look into that.
I don't know. In any case, keep all that in mind when you hear that this year's Call of Duty apparently will have a single-player campaign, which, I mean, you know.
Will they ever get that pizza? Find out.
What?
It's a joke we made on the thing.
I'm sorry. My brain is addled. I'm addled as fuck today. I'm fucking Irene.
I watch our videos too, people.
Adler. So apparently this year Activision is going to be adding a single-player campaign back into Call of Duty, which means that I can once again give like a half a shit about Call of Duty because, wow, Black Ops 4 was just like, it might as well have been Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Subtitle, not for Jeff. Like, oh, we added Battle Royale, and we got all that Call of Duty multiplayer, and a lot more zombies mode, and it was just like, wow, none of that is why I play your games. None of it.
Here's like a cutscene and a secret ending to cutscenes that don't matter. It's like, what? No.
Yep. So, who knows? Like, just please remember that Bobby Kotick didn't make enough money last year and slashed 8% of the people that worked at Activision. When you see that trailer for the next Call of Duty, please don't pre-order it. Maybe just do that. Maybe please don't just like wait for it to come out. You know, remember Infinite Warfare? Remember when they tied the re-release of Call of Duty 4 to Infinite Warfare? Remember how mad everybody was?
Yeah,
remember
that.
Remember that? Remember it.
Making it sound like remember the Alamo. Remember Call of Duty 4 re-release? Remember it? It's like, what?
There are a lot of good free-to-play Call of Duty clones out there that you could totally play without playing Call of Duty. There are a lot of them. Like, they're straight up are. Like, there's like 3 or 4 that are actually really good. You can get them on just about every console, and you could totally play them.
Hooray.
Yeah. Some may even argue that Apex Legends would fall into that category. Not me, but some people might. But one of the most interesting things that happened last week with Apex Legends was that apparently the multiplayer modes in Titanfall 2 got a huge influx of people that wanted to play them.
Fun. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah. It's actually kind of bizarre because the numbers on the PC ranged, increased from an average of 700 to 1,600 to double that at its peak of 3,500 people.
Oh, damn.
So, yeah. Which is great because Titanfall 2 multiplayer is fucking amazing. Like, remember how... I didn't actually mean for all these stories to fit together. Remember how Activision heard that Weston Zampella might be talking to EA and then they just fucking, like, shut their studio, or they, like, locked them out of the building and threw their clothes out of the window like a jilted ex-lover? And you remember how then Weston Zampella, who are legitimately good game creators, went over to EA and were forced to make an Xbox One exclusive that was online only that was still pretty good even though that happened?
Yeah.
And that how the sequel to that was a legitimately good single-player game with a... I defy you, Michael, to tell me of a company that has to do the kind of balancing that happened in Titanfall 2. Because that game had to be fun whether you were a person on foot or whether you were driving a mech around. And the mechs couldn't be too easy to kill, but you couldn't be too fragile as a person. So it's like there were plenty of times when you heard prepare for Titanfall and you didn't have a Titan. And so I would look for a building and then you get in a building and there's some guy walking past the building and you jump out the window and use your parkour to jump onto his back and rip one of the power cells out and then use your zip line to try to get the fuck away from him before he turns around and steps on your dumb ass going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And like, that's awesome. And no other multiplayer game does that. Not Overwatch. not fucking PUBG, not Fortnite, not Call of Duty, not Battlefield. Nobody else has giant mechs except for Titanfall 2. That game does not get the respect it deserves.
Which is a shame.
And it's all fucking EA's fault because they put it out in between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty
that's
Infinite
right.
Warfare. Like, they put that game up against their own multiplayer offering for the year like a bunch of fucking jerks. Sorry. I'm still very salty.
Yeah, it was.
Woo! We've got to get going.
We're very rambly today because we're tired.
Yep. I'm going to start skipping stuff. Go look at what happened at EVO in Japan. It was fucking weird. It was fucking strange. They put Dead or Alive out, and they had two girls in ripped up shirts jumping up and down and patting each other on the butt, and then they used the photo mode to make it look like one dude was giving a lady oral sex in the middle of a sumo slam, and then like the EVO organizers just cut that stream off in America. They were like, nope, no thank you.
Oh, boy.
This is not what EVO is for. Thank you very much. Which, look, man, there's a lot of porno on the internet, and I can find it whenever I want to. I don't need you dragging out your titty babes in the middle of EVO.
I don't need Dead or Alive anymore, really.
Like, if you want to show me the Dead or Alive EVO fighting, like the finals, or if you want to like promote the new Dead or Alive game by showing off the new things that the game can do, and not the photo mode where you can make it look like a dude is eating out a lady, like maybe do any of that instead of bringing out booth babes to jiggle on stage and then aforementioned eating out a lady. Like, if I wanted to see that, I would go to any of the pornography website. I would go to Google image search and find it in 2 seconds.
And it would be Dead or Alive related.
True. Resident Evil 2, that new Ghost Survivors launched. So if you are done with Resident Evil 2 and you're looking for more Resident Evil 2, there are 3 kind of what-if stories about various characters kind of trying to escape the map of Resident Evil 2. And great, free content. I mean, what the fuck?
Is it free?
Yeah, 100%.
Did not know that.
Yep. Because when you beat the game, you get the Fourth Survivor Hunk Escape mode, and then when you beat that, you get the Tofu Survivor Escape mode, which is really bizarre, where you're the big block of tofu with the Jill add-on. But this falls into that same category, where it's basically like you're just trying to escape. You start out with a set inventory, and then I don't know if it's for everybody, but some of the characters, some of the zombies now are like carrying backpacks around, and you can like get stuff out of the backpacks. So, yeah, if you want more Resident Evil 2, check it out. There's 9 minutes of Rage 2 out there on the on Sony's channel. Michael and I were watching it, and I gotta say, like, it looks real good.
It's the first time I've looked at Rage 2 and went, you know what? I actually kind of am excited about this now.
Yeah, it reminded me an awful lot of like a more flashy version of like Doom 2016, where there was a lot of like moving and killing and moving and killing, and it all just looked flowing and fun and cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah. Go check that out if you got 9 minutes. Catherine Full Body got a release date. So this is basically Catherine with some new story elements and some new one new character. So I don't know if you remember Catherine. There was Catherine with a C and Catherine with a K.
How's her spelled?
With a Q.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's this team. So Catherine with a Q is the new pink-haired girl that works at the bar. There's apparently a bunch of new endings, a bunch of new story stuff. I was
a big fan of that game.
Yeah. I was very salty when it originally came out, because to me it meant that they weren't working on Persona 5. I'm like,
okay.
Stop working on anything but Persona 5. But now that Persona 5 is out, I can just be like, no, that's cool, man. You just go work on Catherine again if you want.
I'll play another Catherine with a Q. Sure.
If I do have one complaint, it's that I kind of wish that they had made Catherine 2 if they're not working on Persona 6. Not to just be like deja vu of myself,
crazy.
But, yeah. So anyway, September, you're going to be able to play Catherine. So the trailer for this came out on Valentine's Day. You're going to be able to play it on September 3rd. We're just going to zip through these real fast. Blizzard isn't putting out any big games this year, they announced.
Interesting.
So Diablo Immortal and then the World of Warcraft Classic Edition are coming out, but they don't have any like big releases for 2019.
Oh, I gotcha.
Just in case you were wondering. Starbreeze, I skipped right over, but Starbreeze sold the rights for System Shock 3. No, the System Shock 3 rights. Yeah, Starbreeze sold off the rights to System Shock 3.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep. Ni no Kuni is getting an animated film for summer of this year.
Good for them.
Which I think is great because I have no interest in playing Ni no Kuni, but I like watching Ni no Kuni. So, maybe I'll get to check that out. And last but not least, we had an interesting record. The most expensive game ever sold, which was a mint copy of original Super Mario Brothers for the NES, which apparently these are incredibly difficult to find because they were not shrink wrapped originally.
Oh.
So because so many of them came with the system, they weren't shrink wrapped in the box, and you didn't usually buy it separately. So this was a copy that went for $100,000 at a recent auction. Yeah. Which also makes, I believe, this article said that this is the first time that a game has ever been auctioned off for more than six figures. So, or
it's getting to that comic book thing where certain comics are now really expensive the same way.
Yes.
And yeah, also Super Mario Brothers, it's a lot harder to find just Super Mario Brothers by itself.
Yes.
For Nintendo as well, because most of them had Duck Hunt attached to it too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, yeah. There you go.
Good for them, though.
Yep. With that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Not wrap it up. We're going to go ahead and take a break. Sorry, very tired still.
We're going to take a break. First segment.
Yep. We're going to come back. We got some questions. We got questions from the Discord server. We got questions from the email servers. Hold on. I'm going to go splash some water in my face or something. I don't know. All right, we're back. Neither one of us died during the break. Michael, you still alive?
Right.
I'm still alive. You're still alive. We're both still alive.
I'm a ghost, right?
Yeah. Well,
I'm Danny Phantom.
What do you say? Mail@ragelight.com is the email address. Send in some questions because we always need questions. Ben, our first question this week is coming in from Ryan. And Ryan says, Dear Jeff and Mike, last year I wrote into the podcast asking a question about Stellaris and grand strategy games in general. Since then, I've had a love-hate relationship with the game to the point that it's causing me anxiety when not playing it. I found a way to remove it from my Steam library so there's no temptation to go back to it. So my question for you is, has there ever been a game, other than Dark Souls, Metal Gear, or Hitman, that you've actually had an unhealthy relationship with and needed to remove from your life? Your loyal fan and patron, Ryan. See, Ryan was trying to make sure that I didn't fall into any of the traps, but he missed one. He missed one. Kerbal Space Program.
Yeah, he missed Kerbal Space Program for you.
I had a problem with Into the Breach last year. And the problem with Into the Breach was the fact that, I would uninstall it, but that game's 250 megs, so reinstalling it takes 30 seconds on Steam. Okay. And that, it's such a low-impact game that I can play it while I'm doing hella renders at the same time. So it's there's no impediment to me playing this game. Dark Souls was the only game I had to give to people to be you need to take this out of my house. I'm trying to think of other games that really...
Spider-Man did that to me recently.
Yeah, the PS4
I was just
Spider-Man.
Constantly playing it. I would come home, put it in my system, just start playing to the point where my roommate goes, "Don't you have other games?" I'm like, "No, there's nothing other than Spider-Man." And I just kept playing it like fucking crazy. I spent 3 days just playing it. I had 100% it and continuously kept playing it every day for a month straight.
See, it's weird because of these, Metal Gear isn't a thing for me anymore because it's not really available on the PS4. And the HD collection I don't think is on Steam, is it?
I couldn't say on that one.
I don't believe it is, or if it is, I haven't bothered to buy it.
I still own 1 through 3 for the PS1 and 2.
Yeah,
but my PS2, isn't hooked up to my main TV, and so I haven't done that in a long time. And I don't have a PS3 anymore, so I can't play 4.
Yeah,
and 5 I stopped playing ages ago.
Yeah. I mean, I played through 5 once, and I'm just kind of I think that's enough for me.
I overdid it on 5 when it first came out.
It's funny because 5 is interesting because 5 actually has its own limiter valve because when you start 5, you have to go through that whole dumb hospital part that takes for fucking ever. And usually about halfway through that when I'm drunk and I'm just I'm going to play Metal Gear. 5's on the PS4, and then I'm halfway through that hospital part, I'm just I'm sleepy. Good night.
Yeah, and it takes forever to get past that point, too.
I'm I'm trying to think of games. You know what? I've kind of gotten past that a little bit. I'm trying to think of anything from last year because, like, Red Dead was so fucking long that by the time I got done with it, I was just like, yeah, I'm done with that.
I just put it down.
I think God of War, I played like a crazy person until I beat it, but then I haven't really been super interested in going back and playing more of it.
I know you're not gonna like this answer, but it's something I've been doing every now and then, which is the Crash Bandicoot re-release.
Yeah,
is that I just for like a while I just kept replaying the games for a little bit because it's fun, it's easy. Like I just put it in and I just plow through 1, 2, or 3 kind of thing. They're not all that long, to be honest.
Michael, just because I'm not into those games doesn't mean that it's like bad for you to be into them.
I'm always worried about your reaction to some of the me still playing the Crash Bandicoot games as much as I do.
No,
because I know you don't like them at all.
Fine. It's like, I mean, I've come to the realization in my life that there are games that it's just like, this game ain't for me. I don't want to play it. People want me to play it, but I don't want to play it because I'm not into it. So,
when I was a teenager, though, it was a lot of beat 'em up games.
Oh, yeah?
I was obsessed with beat 'em up games.
Ooh, Injustice. I have to uninstall Injustice 2 all the time.
Oh, yeah, you did that recently.
Anytime that Injustice 2 is installed, I'll be like, let me see what's in the multiverse. Oh, hey, I'll play Poison Ivy for 3 hours. And it's like, no, there's other games, motherfucker.
Yeah, you were doing that for a while. Actually, you want to know the weird... I guess it's an unhealthy obsession because I've been trying to beat it for like 20 years, which is Maximum Carnage.
Oh, yeah?
For the Super Nintendo. Because I know that game like the back of my hand, and I used to play it all the fucking time.
Yeah.
To the point where, like, it did become an unhealthy obsession at one point. I had to put it down for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there have been a few times where Diablo 3 has snuck back into my systems, but I always end up getting to, like, Act 2 of Diablo 3 and then going, like, I think that's enough Diablo 3 for me. Like, I usually restart the game and go all the way through the first act because that's just easy and fun.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's not as much of a thing. I mean, like Hitman, once I got all the trophies in Hitman, I was kind of done with it.
I used to replay Arkham Asylum all the fucking time.
Yeah.
The first one, because that game isn't as long as people think it is. And so once you're done with it,
especially if you know where to go, what you're doing.
Exactly. Once you know where you're doing, and then you get to the point where you've almost memorized where every fucking Riddler trophy is too.
Yep.
You're just like, I'm gonna fuck up the Riddler like in 10 minutes, kind of thing. And then you're like, I'm gonna do that again. And I did that like crazy the first time it came out. And same with the first Injustice, I was like that too.
There are some games out there that, while I don't replay them often, I know that, like, if I start playing BioShock, I will probably beat BioShock. Like,
that's a good one.
I'll probably just plow, because BioShock is, 8-10 hours, something like that. Like, you can get through BioShock.
Yeah, if you know where you're going to, it's like that too. It's funny because I'd rebought it, but same issue I have with living with a roommate is that I can't get into scary games because he's right there asking me random shit in the middle of it. And he's just like, who's that? Why is he doing that? I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to pay attention to what's going
scary?
on. Well, it's one of those things where it's an atmospheric thing.
Okay.
And so you're supposed to like get into like the kind of atmosphere, but it's hard to do when there's a guy behind you just going, what is that? What's going on? Why is that like that? Why are you underwater right now? I'm like, oh my God.
See, the thing is that with BioShock, eventually I settled into the build that I use, which is pumping everything into wrench and then just beating big daddies to death with a wrench.
Yeah.
And like, so I'm not scared of BioShock anymore. I'm just like, let's go, motherfucker! You got a drill, I got a wrench. Let's see who wins this fight. Get that little bitch off your back because we're going to Pound Town. Not that Pound Town, different Pound Town. The one where I pound you with a wrench, beat your fucking head open. Also, with BioShock, it's super easy because there's no cost to dying. So it's like, oh no, I got killed. Oh shit.
True. Ninja Turtles 4 was another one that I played a lot of. Turtles in Time.
Okay.
I was obsessed with that game for years.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't happen as much anymore, and I think a lot of it is because a lot of modern games are so goddamn long. Like last week, in the same vein of what I was talking about, I talked about it before. I started up Titanfall 2, and the reason that I started Titanfall 2 is because I wanted to see if the weapons from Apex Legends were the same weapons that were in Titanfall 2. And so I started on like the third mission in Titanfall 2. You know, the one where you're in the big facility that's building like the houses?
Yeah.
And then I just kept playing it until it was done. But that game's only like 4 or 5 hours long. Like when I got my 4K TV, I loaded up God of War because I was like, oh man, I really want to see what this game looks like in 4K. and I saw the very beginning of it, and it was, press X to start chopping down that tree, and I was like, oh no, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. This game is like 18 hours long. I can't do this. So
I have a better movies do that to me more than games do.
Yeah.
Like if I start watching The Dark Knight, I'll just finish it. Because I just like that movie a lot.
I watched Inception again last week.
Really?
Yeah, it was on, because I was looking for something 4K to watch, and somebody mentioned Inception on like a podcast. I was like, it's been a long time since I watched Inception. I watched it, and I was just like, yeah, Inception really holds up.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite of all of Christopher Nolan's movies.
It's good.
Yeah. Let's see. Not Keith writes in and says, what up, Prophets of Rage? I've been playing a lot of Wargroove after watching your Let's Play on the game, and also because I have a love for the Advance Wars series. I do a podcast with my friends, and we had a conversation on Earthbound and how I do not understand the community wanting Mother 4, but Shigesato Itoi stated that he has no idea how he could make it or want to make it, or even if he wants to make it. I made the point that we don't need sequels to games we like if the original creator isn't involved with it or wants to do it. Look at Konami, which after the fall of Team Silent and Silent Hill 3 couldn't recapture the magic of the first 3 games and later titles, and the Metal Gear franchise and how spin-off games without Kojima involved didn't capture the same appeal as the core series. Although we don't have sequels to Mother, we have games that feel like strong spiritual successors, such as Undertale. After playing Wargroove, I had that same thought in my head. If Nintendo doesn't want to make another Advance Wars, someone else could make something that has the same feel. So my question is, what game series have you liked that have a strong spiritual successor game, spiritual successor game, ? Thanks for all that you do, Ken, not Keith. So games that you like that have like an offshoot, not a direct sequel, but somebody else made like a spiritual successor, basically.
Yeah, like Bloodstained, I'm hoping is one of those.
Yeah, well,
a lot actually.
As for stuff that's not out, I'm kind of the same way with Outer Worlds right now.
Yeah,
I'm really hoping that is like, since Bethesda has decided that Fallout is garbage and that it should always be garbage, that maybe somebody else making something would be cool.
I know there's one I'm trying to remember, like Undertale is a good one because there's a lot of Earthbound. Like I was a big fan of Earthbound, and that had like a kind of a similar-ish kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And somebody actually was working on a fan version of Mother 4, but I don't think anything ever happened with that.
By the way, that's what I was looking for. By the way, Keith, if you have not checked out Tiny Metal, which came out, was like last year, the year before, that was a much more kind of direct spiritual successor to Advance Wars. I think it was actually one of the like original developers. So it's like a little 3D version of what's kind of like Advance Wars. So maybe check that out. Okay, spiritual successor.
I'm trying to think of like ones that I know that came out that were definite spiritual successors.
Mm-hmm.
I remember people didn't really like the ukulele kind of thing. That was one that I was looking into at the time, but didn't work out. Mighty Number 9 didn't work out. Although, actually, you know what? The Mighty Number 9 games that isn't just Mighty Number 9 itself are a lot of fun. Like the Mighty Volt game. I like that one a lot.
Okay.
Which is Mighty Number 9 and Volt from... I can't remember the name of that game, but it's another Nintendo game that's kind of like a shoot 'em up almost. That was a lot of fun. Shit, that's a tough one.
Okay, I got a couple from here. Yeah, technically, BioShock is a spiritual successor to System Shock.
Yeah, that's true, actually,
because they're not in the same world, right? So I would definitely put that one on the list. This may be a little bit weird, but stick with me here. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is kind of a spiritual successor to Super Metroid, because there was no...
I'll give you that, actually.
There was no more Metroids up until that, and then I feel like... What? Okay, here's a question. I'm legitimately asking this. If you know this, and if the audience knows, feel free to please tell me.
Bravely Default, I guess, would count for the original Final Fantasy games.
Yep, I can see that. Was there a Metroidvania game between Super Metroid and Symphony of the Night? Was there one that was
Not
like
really that I
pure,
can think of?
Because afterwards, it's like Castlevania kind of picked up the mantle, right?
Because everyone started using the term Metroidvania,
right? The GBA games and whatnot, but
because it wasn't really a thing Like, because that was what made it so interesting, is that there weren't, like, there was a few like them, you know, since then.
Yeah.
Like the Shadow Complex, for instance, is kind of like that.
Right.
Shit, I'm trying to think of, like, legit spiritual successor that I remember playing, that I remember what the spiritual successor was to it, kind of thing.
Here's one. I'm having to look this stuff up just because I can't think of enough off the top of my
Perfect
head.
Dark was supposed to be kind of like a spiritual successor to their GoldenEye game.
Torchlight being a spiritual successor to Diablo was very good. Even though Diablo continued on from there, you know, when they announced Diablo 3 and then Torchlight came out and everybody was just like, what? It's free to play?
Oh, yeah.
Even Path of Exile, I think, could maybe fall into that category. Also, that's another good one. City Skylines is a way better SimCity than any of the shit that EA's put out recently.
I forgot that was something they did.
I'm starting to think that you and I need to get into the spiritual successor market.
I think we need to, yeah.
Has anybody made a spiritual successor to The Sims that doesn't require $1 million and is good?
I don't know. You know what? Bayonetta is technically a spiritual successor to the Devil May Cry series.
Is okay.
Because they weren't really making any more Devil May Cry games at that point.
Fallout is a spiritual successor to Wasteland?
Sure. I don't really know on that one.
No, I disagree with that because I know Fallout was supposed to be the Steve Jackson's GURPS universe, and because Steve Jackson lives in Austin and like my dad knew him, and Interplay wanted to make an RPG that was based in this universe called GURPS that was like a pen and paper RPG.
Oh, okay.
And Steve Jackson was such a pain in the ass that eventually they were like, fucking get out of here, Steve Jackson. We're just going to go make it ourselves. We're just going to make our own thing. And then, like, you know, Fallout was just like the biggest and the best. So,
well, you know what? I think Paper Mario was kind of a successor to the Super Mario RPG.
Okay.
I didn't really think about that until right now. Because that's the thing, is it's not a direct sequel. Because that's the hard thing about the idea of spiritual successor. It's hard to remember what is considered the actual... Like, what's considered that way, I guess? I don't know. It's a tough thing to really look at it that way. Because you can make the argument that Rock Band was trying to be a successor to Guitar Hero originally.
Yeah, but see, that's another weird one because wasn't, like, Red Octane, like...
They were just an offshoot.
They sold it to, Activision? And then they made Harmonix that then made... Rock Band, because they sold the Guitar Hero franchise, or they split. Like, they made the first two, and then they split and became Harmonix.
Because they wanted 3 to be the way Rock Band was.
Right.
And they didn't want them to do that.
Yeah.
And so they're like, well, we'll just make our own game, and then that's when they did. So that's what makes it like an iffy thing, because it's like, what is the term sometimes for spiritual successor sometimes?
Yeah.
And that's one of those things I think that comes up.
Anyway, I think that's enough. Let's jump into one more, and then we'll do some chat questions. Peyton has a very quick question. He says, who is a better storyteller, Naughty Dog or Rockstar? And it says, I've been following you since the Spill days. Best from Peyton. So, who is a better storyteller, Naughty Dog or Rockstar?
That's a damn good question.
Okay, I'm going to say that I think that Rockstar is technically a better storyteller. I think that Naughty Dog they make more cohesive games. I mean, like, I do take the criticism that Rockstar games have started to feel like two different games. That, like, the main story of Red Dead Redemption 2 almost feels like a separate game from you just wandering around being a wackadoo jackass. Yeah. Whereas I feel like Uncharted and The Last of Us, they feel very cohesive, right, as a whole. This is a completely personal thing. I like Rockstar's Dark Streak more than I like Naughty Dog's Dark Streak.
By Dark Streak, explain.
Well, I think that all of Dan Houser's games have a pretty heavy, like, dark streak to them. I mean, think about Red Dead 2. We don't need to go into details because people are probably still playing that, but obviously has a very dour tone, right?
No, absolutely.
GTA 5 was maybe one of the lighter of the entirety of every game they've ever made, but
absolutely, especially compared to 4.
Yeah, 4 had that it was weird because it had a very strange tone, right? But I liked 4 a lot because 4 was emotionally manipulative. I still say to this day,
I adore 4's story.
That whole ending bit in 4 is great. Max Payne 3 is a very dark story, right? That's a Hauser joint. Like, GTA even GTA San Andreas and Vice City and those
and 3, yeah.
they kind of have a they have a tone that's a little bit like the thing with Naughty Dog is I feel like Naughty Dog tells good stories, but I don't think Naughty Dog takes that many risks. Like their stories are very.
They haven't taken as many risks since they went into the realistic one.
Yeah,
because when you look at Naughty Dog, they have a very strange career compared to some other people. Like you can still somewhat compare it to Rockstar because the first 2 Grand Theft Autos are these kind of like cartoony kind of things, and then it goes into 3, and then it turns into their dark streak.
Right.
Whereas with Naughty Dog, you go from Crash Bandicoot, this fun, lovable, cartoony character, to Jack, which kind of starts that way, but then slowly gets a little darker as it progresses, into full-on like realism, which is what the Uncharted stuff is.
Yeah.
And then they made like one really like there's some dark stuff in Uncharted, but not compared to like, The Last of Us
yeah.
kind of thing. And so, but that version of their dark story is a little long, I guess is the way of putting it. I think because that was one of my issues with The Last of Us is it just feels a little too long in certain areas.
Oh, I agree with that. One of the other issues that I have with it is that I think that it's a good story. It's not exactly like the world's most original story.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely did good. It's like, you can always get away with telling a basic story very well. And I feel like that's exactly what The Last of Us does, is it tells a story. And they really used all that tech that they made, that they developed during the Uncharted franchise to really punch you in the dick a few times during The Last of Us. Just really hard, fast dick punches.
You know what? I think for me, it's Rockstar because Rockstar does such a good job at telling crime stories in Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, and 4. 5 is a little iffy. I love the story of the Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And they they also have Bully, which I heard was pretty good.
Yeah, I never played it. I can tell you.
And then
hey, you know what?
Continuously doing stuff like that, even with, and they have a bunch of expansions that are even also good stories to Grand Theft Auto 4.
Yep, Gay Tony and Lost and the Damned. You could throw. I'm not the biggest fan of the gameplay, but you could throw L.A. Noire in there.
Yeah,
I think the story for L.A. Noire is really interesting. It's just the fucking turning over a coffee cup for 20 minutes. And
L.A. Noire is a great game to watch.
Yes,
but yeah, with Uncharted, honestly, I only like Uncharted 1 through 4, story wise, the most of them. But it's only because I'm a giant Indiana Jones fan, kind of thing.
Wait, you said you only like 1 through 4?
Well, I never played Lost Legacy. So I don't really know.
I was like, what else is there? What are you talking about?
That's the thing is I never played Lost Legacy, and I didn't play the Vita game either.
I only like Final Fantasy 1 through 15. Those are the only Final Fantasies that I like. No, yeah. I get you. See, for my money, 3 started to rehash some stuff that I was like, I
thought it had a great ending, though.
And the fact that 4 had to bring up a whole lost Drake boy.
That was kind of weird.
It was just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, all right.
But it expanded on what happened in 3, though.
Because of it. But then 3, I don't know. I thought that 2 was great because I thought that the love triangle was the most compelling of their stories. I
have a friend who's still upset that he ends up with Elena.
No, not Chloe. He would never been happy with Chloe. But yeah, I think they're both exceptional storytellers. I like Rockstar stories a little bit better because I feel like they've got a little bit more teeth to them.
They absolutely do. Because the endings of like some of those Grand Theft Auto games are heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like the ending to 4 fucked me up for a long time.
Yeah.
And whereas with Rockstar, I think The Last of Us, people say it did, but it didn't really do that to me, I think. But Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, fuck those games, Jesus.
Yep.
Fucked me up for days.
Yep. No, I agree. Red Dead Redemption, even if you don't like any of the other Rockstar games, I'd say that Red Dead Redemption 1's ending is ballsy in a way. Look, man, okay, hey, if you haven't played Uncharted 4, you skip forward a few seconds, and if you haven't played The Last of Us, you skip forward a few minutes. But at the end of every one of those games that they made, everyone's still alive. Drake's still alive. Did they kill Sully? No, they don't even kill Sully off in 4. Sully and his brother. I was convinced it was called A Thief's End. I was like, somebody's dying in this. And Nadine walks out of that game scot-free, and Elena and Sully and the brother. And I'm like, wow. Whereas say what you will, but asking me to play a 12-hour cowboy game and then having it end with the main character kick open the front door to get shot for no reason, for really no good reason.
Too.
Yeah. Like, and then to skip forward, and then this is why I think that Rockstar's has an edge on them, is because when you look at Red Dead and John Marsden, the character that you've loved so much, gets killed, and there was no replacing him, and then they give you Jack Marsden, and you kind of don't like him, but you're at least going to go get vengeance for John Marsden's death, and then fucking Ross is just a senile old man. Like, he's not even afraid. He doesn't even know what's going on. It's like, the guy that killed your father, and you come back to exact revenge, and there's nothing to be had here. It's just an old man standing by the river. You literally go ask his wife where he is, track him down, and just gun him down. It's like the most cold, useless thing in that entire game. Like, you've done nothing. You've gotten your vengeance, and it tastes like shit. Like, nothing good.
To
has
you,
happened.
it didn't, because to me, I gunned down both his wife and his brother before I left.
Because you were mad.
I was upset. I made sure I had the pistol that had all of the bullets, like with the Mauser, which has like a really big fucking cartridge,
right?
And unloaded into both of those characters before I got to Ross.
Oh man,
I even like Max Payne 3's story too, so enough at least. It's not a great Max Payne story, but it's a good story.
I've softened a lot on it over the years. I still think that I have my problems with it. I think that it's fine.
I also have the comic prequel they came out with.
What's that?
I also have the comic prequel they came out with too. So
I really felt like they walked back the end of Max Payne 2, which I liked, which I thought was a very well, because didn't Rockstar published Max Payne 2, right?
Yes.
Which, if you count that as a Rockstar game, like, I liked the end of that story. Like, I really did.
That's great.
I thought it gave Max closure, and then you open up on 3, and it's just like, whoa, why is he all fucked up again?
It turns out, like, murdering the entirety of New York for a second time does not give you closure.
Yeah, but it was just like, it was such a badass action movie ending, right? Like, any normal human being doesn't like cure their mental illness by killing enough people. That's not how this works. But like in Max Payne 2, it did kind of work, and I was fine with that. And then Max Payne 3 starts, because I think the
reason I'm fine with it now is because it's that happily ever after thing, where it's like happily ever after doesn't really happen a lot of the times, and that's what might realistically happen to Max right after that.
I still think that Max Payne at the end of Max Payne 2 was a fucked up pill popping psychopath who was dating a hit woman.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Like,
my only issue with 3 is that it backpedals a lot of relationships too.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there.
Anyway, let's roll through some of these questions for our Discord. Hey, if you're not aware, we've got a Discord server, and if you go in there, we've got a place so you can ask questions. So let's see. Let's see. Rayman Ryan has a comment for our last one. It says, "Hey Jeff, you mentioned in the podcast about Idris Elba. Wasn't he the bad guy in Star Trek Beyond? I think he played Krull. Yes, he was. Last time we were talking about Hobbs and Shaw, I was like, has Idris Elba ever really been a bad guy? And people were like, yes, he has. He was the bad guy in Star Trek. He was also Shere Khan in the Jungle Book.
Oh yeah, he was.
So sorry, you guys got to know. You know that 90% of the time my mouth is open. It's coming right out of my butt. Like, I'm not reading anything. I'm not looking up any Wikipedia.
Also, you can barely tell it's him in Star Trek Beyond for like 90% of the movie.
Yeah. Also, please don't watch Star Trek Beyond. God, that movie sucks.
It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay.
The fact that they win the battle with sabotage by the Beastie Boys is.
My roommate adores that part, by the way.
Oh boy!
But he's a big Beastie Boys fan.
Let's see. Kate writes in and says, I recently went to a lame party that turned out to get fucking crazy. A few people got sloppy, a few people helped the sloppy people, and most of us were just hanging out and talking. Can you tell us a story of a party that started off lame and ended pretty good?
You're talking to the wrong people. This, at least for some of it. Or to me, at least. Jeff has some shit.
I used to go to a lot of parties. I didn't get invited back that many times, though. Turns out that when I don't have to pay for drinks, there was a certain point where my drinking habits became like as fast and as much as humanly possible. So there was this one guy that was my friend that I used to go to his parties all the time. We're not friends anymore because apparently one time 5 years ago I got really wasted. And when he tried to take my car keys away, I punched him in the face. And then I forgot about it. And then we went to a high school reunion, and he was being very cold towards me. And I was like, I haven't seen you in a while. And it took him like half of the reunion to be like, do you not remember what you fucking did? And I was like, no. He's like, you punched me in the face. I'm like, oh, have you been carrying that around? Do you want to punch me in the face? Like, or we can just not be friends. That's cool. And now that I know, I mean, whatever.
It makes sense now, kind of thing.
Because then it was like, oh yeah, let's bygones be good bygones. And then he started telling all these really boring stories, and I was like, oh right, I remember we're not friends on my side. Anyway, he had this house, and he used to throw these big ass parties there, and I used to go to them, and I used to get fucking lit. So none of these are stories that ended up pretty good. Oh, there was one where I actually went. Okay, so the first three I went and got super lit. The first time I remember it was a classic Jeff story where I was mixing together one part Jägermeister and one part Goldschlager and asking people to take this horrible hellscape of a shot. I called it a Jägerschlager. And then I would offer it to people. They'd be like, go fuck yourself. And then I would take it.
Like more for me.
Yep. That one ended with me like some guy was trying to give me a massage. I didn't like that. So I went into his backyard and I kind of just you don't drink, right? So
no, I don't drink.
There was a point where things start spinning, and there's a point where they start spinning so hard that you can't really walk. And so I kind of just put my foot down and spun around and fell down on the ground.
Oh, damn.
And then I just turned my head to one side and threw up. And then I rolled by where my feet were, down, and then I threw up. And then I rolled my feet up somehow, and I kind of made a triforce of throw up almost.
God.
And then they came out, they were like, are you okay? And I was like, I threw up a bunch of times. Please just let me die out here. And they were like, no, come on, you got to go inside. We're going to put a blanket on you. That was the first one. The second one, at one point I ripped the thing that you put your toilet paper on in your bathroom?
Oh, yeah.
I tried to steady myself on that and just ripped it off of the wall. And I was like, yeah, there was one of them where me and my friend learned that you could blow 151 fireballs. So Bacardi 151 has a high enough alcohol content that you could put it in your mouth, light a lighter, and literally blow fireballs. So we scorched his back porch, blowing fireballs up into the air. We can tell this guy had a lot of good reasons not to never want to see me again, right?
Oh, my God.
One time,
holy shit.
Though, I'll get to this one. One time, though, I went, and there was this girl there, and I got just the right amount of drunk to flirt with her, and we ended up naked in a hot tub, and then we both ended up passed out, and then I asked for her number from the guy that threw the party and sent her a text message and asked if she wanted to go on a date with me, and she said yes, and so we dated for a little while. So that was a cool...
That sounds like a nice ending.
That was a cool result. I mean, the next day when I woke up, it sucked because people don't know this who don't live in Austin, but he lives in Cedar Park.
Oh, damn.
Which is a 20-minute drive from my house, and I live in North fucking butt-ass Austin. And so, when I went over there, it was I'm sleeping here. I'm not driving anywhere. And this was even back when I used to get super wasted and then try to drive places, which I don't do anymore. There's a whole dark chapter of Jeff's life. Most people that know me, especially from Rage Select, only know about 30-year-old plus Jeff, right? Not many people met 20 to 30-year-old Jeff.
I've heard many stories, though.
20 to 30-year-old Jeff was a bitch, and he drank too much. Too much. I would go out on a Friday night and drink 18 beers and 2 shots. That.
Damn.
That kind of drinking. Like bad drinking. I fucked my car up several times just jacking the median because I couldn't drive my car straight. So,
yeah, if I went to a party, it was just a bunch of nerds playing games. There was not anything that would have made it any better, to be honest, because we just played games and ate a lot of pizza. I'm a giant nerd. I didn't do a lot of things with my life.
I'll tell you one other story about that same guy.
Jesus. Fuck this guy's life up.
Poor guy. Yeah, I don't want to say his name. I don't want to say. And it's my classic. I think everybody's heard about my New Year's story. I'll tell it briefly. Where we were doing New Year's, and I knew I was going to get wasted. And so,
I think you've told me this story, actually.
This is the bad sequel to that previous story. So we went to this party on the east side of Austin in this amazing house full of the most beautiful people you've ever seen. Hipsters, one and all, but dressed up hipsters that were all real nice, and they were nice people. And there was this beautiful house. They had books, and like it was all refinished hardwood floors and just like this really nice stuff. It's great. The guy who was the host of the party was talking to me for 5 minutes, and I was talking about like, hey, what do you guys got to drink around here? And he was like, oh, we've got X, Y, and Z. And he was like, what do you normally drink? And I was like, vodka tonics. He's like, oh, you might like an old fashioned. Have you ever had an old fashioned? I was like, no. And he's like, well, hold on. I'm going to go to the kitchen and make the simple syrup to put into the old, because that's like whiskey and simple. It's just like sugar and whiskey basically, and like a lemon, I think. Super nice. And there were like 3 or 4 women there. I was single as hell. This is after I broke up with that girl that I met at that other party. Shortly after that. So I was like single and ready to mingle. And there were all these beautiful women there, and they were all great. And then this guy, the same guy, he comes up and he's just like, hey man, we're leaving. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, because I went with him and his girlfriend, who I believe he got married to, and then like another couple, I think, and we all rode in his car, and he was going to be designated driver. He's like, we're leaving. We're going to this other party. And I was like, but this party, look at this party. And he's like, and I was like, is this other party going to be better than this party? And he's like, I don't know, maybe. And I was like, okay. And so I got very mad because he was my ride, and I didn't want to call a cab, and I also didn't want to be like drunk at somebody else's house that I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And so I got really drunk there. And then when we left, I did like 3 shots and drank a screwdriver, and then we left. And we go to this other place and knock on the door, and the door opens, and it is my now ex-girlfriend's sister on the other side of the door. And it turns out it's her house, and she's pregnant, and there's like 3 couples there, and they brought 2 more couples, and I'm the only single person in the whole place. And I'm just like, all right, Happy New Year's. And I just went to town. And that was the night where when he drove us all back, he didn't want to let me drive home because I was drunk out of my fucking face. And when he tried to take my keys away, I punched him in the face like a jackass.
All came full circle.
Don't let people, when your friends want to take your keys away, please let them. Please let them. Don't be like Jeff.
Don't fight him on it.
Yes. Don't be a goofus. Be a gallant. I think we're running pretty long here. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Joseph Compton writes in and says, hey, folks, it's your bud Compton. No real question, but something I was shocked by. I was watching a local channel, and I saw a preview to a news story. The preview is one of those terror news stories with be aware of signs of video game addiction tomorrow at 6 p.m., complete with a close-up, tilted off-color, distorted focus camera view of an Xbox controller from B-roll footage. And now I'm thinking, wow, it's 2019 and we're still dealing with this. Not just that, but there's some jackass in some place that's trying to get a bill out there that is...
I want to say it's one of the Carolinas.
Yeah, that is like violent video game tax.
Syntax.
Yeah.
People are calling it.
Yep. So here's the thing. Yeah, it's still going on. It never stopped. It's just...
it's a scapegoat.
Yeah. Whatever the latest media thing is... I like comics probably had to put up with this horse shit for years.
It did it for years to the point.
D&D
yeah, where they got fucked over at one point. Comics for a long time.
Yeah,
because of the Comic Codes Authority and the reason why we have wear pterodactyls now, kind of thing.
Yep. So I wouldn't expect that shit to go away anytime soon.
It's not.
Gorm Dragon says, I'm a big fan of Far Cry 4, but couldn't get into Far Cry 5. Instead, I jumped into Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition. Sleeping Dogs is awesome and is so underrated. I know you keep talking up Yakuza Kiwami, so here's my question. Is Yakuza similar to Sleeping Dogs? And if so, as someone who enjoyed Sleeping Dogs, is the Yakuza series a potentially good fit?
You know what, shit? That's a good answer for one of the questions we had before.
Oh, spiritual
successor. It was the spiritual successor to True Crime.
It was, oh no, I saw a whole thing about how Sleeping Dogs was its own game with a female protagonist that was under development at like EA, and then by some company, and then they said, no, we don't think it should be a lady, make it a dude instead. And then they said, okay, and then that company or that property got sold, and what was it like? Somebody else, no, it was EA or Activision or somebody decided they wanted to make it into the next true crime game. Yeah. And so they made like half of it as a true crime game, and then they ditched it, and Square bought the rights to it and finished it as Sleeping Dogs, and it still lost them money. Yeah. Like it in any case, Yakuza is similar.
It's similar, but it's a lot slower in parts.
Very much slower. No cars.
Yeah, no cars.
and the battle system is a lot more like deliberate. Like it's not an Arkham battle system. It's more like
it's very fighting game like
Devil May Cry almost, but like I mean not like super fast action, but just like third person kind of action brawling.
Yeah,
point your guy at a guy.
It's like I don't really know. It's very fighting game like.
Yeah,
when it comes to its mechanics, like because it's a lot of blocking, lock-ons, all that kind of thing. It's very, very methodical in a way.
For most of them, you have like 3 different stances where you'll have like a heavy stance and then like a light fast stance, slow heavy stance, and then a balanced stance that usually also does weapons. Here's
a good
thing.
Game though.
It's so cheap that yes, it's worth. If you like Sleeping Dogs, I'd say that Kiwami is an excellent retelling of the first game, which is an excellent story, and you can go from there, right? Like I can't imagine. Kiwami was like $20 when it came out, wasn't it?
It was pretty cheap, and it was free for Plus at one point, I think.
Yeah, that's passed. But let's see, it's on the PC now for
$20. Right
20 on the PlayStation Network. Let's see what it's like on Steam. I'm pretty sure it's only $20 on Steam as well. It's such a big game too. You can do a lot worse. That's not coming out until coming out on February 19th. Currently it's on sale for $18, so but yeah, I would definitely recommend Yakuza if you like Sleeping Dogs. It's not the same, just don't expect the exact same.
Yeah.
It's definitely in this ballpark. Let's see guys, you got to quit having conversations with the podcast channel or else I can't find the podcast questions. Let's see. IT Johan writes, hello, glorious rulers, the most classy podcast out there. I have a soft rule. When I'm going to play a game, I want to spend at least 4 hours playing. Any less than that, and I don't feel that I've gotten enough out of my session. This is primarily because I love experiencing games and savor my time with them, which is one of the reasons why I'm 50% completion through Red Dead 2, and I just recently robbed the Valentine Bank. So my question is, how much time is a successful play session for you? Overwatch always is an exception to this rule, since I can experience a full game in 25-minute competitive match. As always, have an amazing day, week, month, etc., etc., etc. Your patron, IT Johan.
It's definitely one of those exception kind of things. Like, it depends on the game. Beat 'em up games, an hour is perfectly fine. Shooters, half an hour is perfectly fine. But games, that are open worldish, like an hour or two feels better for those kinds of things. For me to feel like I did something.
On the shorter side, I'd say 4 hours is about my minimum too. If a game is less than 4 hours, then it better have replay value. It really, Into the Breach can be less than 4 hours, but then you play it over and over and over again, right?
Yeah.
Or like a puzzle game or Tetris or something like that, right?
Old beat 'em ups are like half an hour. Like I can beat Ninja Turtles 4 in like 23 minutes.
Yeah,
and then just go again.
Yeah. I'd say about 4 hours, but then the thing is that here's the deal. I hate to put such a stamp on it because, like, if I played a really good game that was only 2 hours long, I'm cool with that. If the game is really good, again, the number doesn't matter, right? If it's a great game that lasts for 2 hours, great. If it's a bad game that lasts for 30 hours, well, double boo because like I'd rather have a bad game last 4 hours than a bad game last for fucking 50 hours. Kingdom Hearts 3? No, sorry. That's not. I didn't say anything. Nobody said anything.
He just talked about the hearts and friendship and such.
Yep.
And darkness and gorsh. Ho ho.
So you're done with Kingdom Hearts 3?
I don't know. I'm enjoying Jump Force too much to want to go back.
Like you have not yet learned the rule of Jeff's house, which is like, don't borrow like multiple 30-hour games.
Well, it wasn't on purpose, is like kind of thing. I'd forgot Jump Force was coming out.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to bring back Kingdom Hearts 3 maybe later.
Also, I think you said, hey, do you want Kingdom Hearts? And I was like, no, get the fuck out of my house. So
that's true too, yeah.
Septum Sin writes in and says, Dear Great Guardians of Fun, Sam Elliott is up for his first ever Oscar, promoting an important question. If his mustache and Tom Selleck's mustache were to become sentient and fight, who would win? These are the questions I think about when the lights go out. Thanks for the laugh, Septum Sin versus the world. Sam Elliott's mustache and Tom Selleck's mustache got in a fight. Whose would win?
I think Sam Elliott's would.
I think Sam Elliott's would too because it's a cowboy.
It's gruffer too. It's longer too, actually.
Yeah.
Is the other thing.
I've seen them both without mustaches, and I think that Sam Elliott needs a mustache.
He definitely needs one. Tom Selleck is fine without a mustache.
Yeah,
but he looks better with one.
That's true.
But yeah, Sam Elliott's mustache is fucking like it's a national treasure sometimes, and I have a feeling like it could beat up Tom Selleck's mustache, no issue.
I think it beat me up.
Yeah,
I think it kicked my ass.
It was that mustache has gone through a lot.
Let's see. Rayman Ryan says, greetings again, Rage Masters. So with the news that the 1993 Game Boy title Zelda Link's Awakening is being remastered for the Switch, my questions are, what are some of your favorite old games that you feel should get remasters, or do you think that remastering old games is just squeezing money out of old nostalgic geeks like us, and video game companies should focus on making better new IP? Loving your work as always. I mean, let's limit this one because I feel like this one gets asked a lot, but like...
And we always say Metal Gear.
Well, I tell you what, why don't we do a spin on it and say like SNES and below games would you like to see get remade? Like with the care and attention that looks like is going into that game. So the second part of your question, I feel like, I don't know about you, but pretty much universally, I'm like, if you put work into it, then I think that it's worth it. If you don't put any work into it, then I feel like it's a cash grab. If you just
absolutely
remaster, if remaster you mean you put out the PC version, like that Final Fantasy VII release on the Switch to me is kind of a cash grab when I feel like they should be fucking doing their work.
Yeah, some of my favorite re-releases are really well made with like Bionic Commando Rearmed. I fucking love that game.
That's such a good re-release. Yeah,
it was amazing.
Hell,
I'd love it to be re-released now. Actually,
that was before the really remaster thing happened. XCOM was another one where, you know, the XCOM Enemy Unknown was only made as a promotional thing for the XCOM first-person shooter.
Yeah.
That for Axis game was never supposed to be like the big thing. It was like, we'll just remake XCOM and put it out. Bup, bup, bup. And then it was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, because even Rearmed was supposed to be kind of more of a promotional thing for the 2008 game.
Yep.
And that game did not do well, unfortunately.
I'm trying to think back on it. You know, I always had a really soft spot. I don't know how many people actually know of or remember this game, but they made a Shadowrun game for the Sega Genesis.
Oh, yeah.
That I really loved, and I really kind of wish that somebody would make a... I mean, I guess they're making Cyberpunk 2077, so... Oh, you know what would be really cool is if they took Sweet Home from the NES that never even got a stateside release and like remastered it as like a lost Resident Evil, or not, because no, it's not Resident Evil, but it's so weird, it's so bizarre. You could totally make a crazy game out of Sweet Home, and it's so fucking strange. Like, you can get characters can die, and then it's like you just pick up the thing that made them the special character, but then you have fewer people to like share the combat load with. Like, it's so strange. It's so strange and weird and innovative that I really wish that they would put something like that out. You know, if they wanted to put out a Link to the Past again, if they wanted to remaster that,
I'd love that.
I would love that. Or you know, any of the shit that I talk about for the Super Nintendo era, like Super Metroid, I could totally deal with a 3D.
If they remade pretty much any Castlevania from 1 all the way up until before Symphony of the Night, I'd buy those pretty fast.
Yeah,
especially Bloodlines, because fuck, there's no easy way of playing Bloodlines, which is a pain in the ass. Which was the only Sega Castlevania game.
Okay,
and that game was a lot of fun.
Okay, well, we're gonna move on because we've already talked a lot about remasters. So we got one more from our Discord, and that's from Lord of Mordor, who says, "Greetings, Apostles of the Mighty Dong. The only part of geek culture that I've never gotten into is comic books, so I'm looking for recommendations from seasoned comic book readers. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of issues of both DC and Marvel, and I'm looking for some help separating the wheat from the chaff. So for someone looking to get into DC Comics, what series/issues would you guys recommend? My knowledge of DC is limited to the various movies, both animated and live action, that have come out over the years. What are the best Batman, Superman, and Justice League series for newcomers to get into? I've heard good things about The Dark Knight Returns, but would love to hear your thoughts. Keep up the good work, Lord of Mordor." Let me just say, Dark Knight Returns is a terrible place to start.
No, terrible place to start.
Terrible place to start.
It's not a bad story, but it's a terrible place to start.
Yep. Yes, the Dark Knight Returns is very much a product of its time. It's got a lot of shit about gangs that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
It's very much, you know, Ronald Reagan is a prominent character in that story.
It's very strange.
It's very strange.
You're going to be very confused by why Superman works for Ronald Reagan very quickly.
I'll tell you, if you want a Batman story from Frank Miller, didn't he write Year One?
Year One's great.
Year One would be way better than that. Yeah.
The Long Halloween is a great one.
That's a good place to start. See, I was hoping that you could get current because, see, all my stuff is, I haven't read comics in a long time. I still think that Grant Morrison's run on JLA is excellent.
Grant Morrison's Batman stuff from before the New 52 is really good. All of Scott Snyder's Batman New 52 run is fucking amazing, though.
Okay.
Like, I adore that entire run. The Rebirth Superman stuff's really good up until before Bendis started.
I'm trying to think. I never really read Superman individual comics, so I don't really know good arcs there.
That's the toughest one.
Yeah.
Because with Superman, it's kind of a preference. Like, I loved Jeff Johns' runs on Superman before the New 52 started. Like, Superman Brainiac's fucking great.
Was he the same one that did all the Green Lantern stuff where he expanded all the Lantern?
He did.
Yeah. I like Jeff Johns, but I don't... But hashtag Jeff can't close.
He can't.
I like Jeff Johns, but I don't feel like... say what you will about Grant Morrison. I know a lot of people don't like him, but Grant Morrison can end a story, right?
Yeah.
And it feels like this a big apocalyptic finale of a story, right? As opposed to that.
Superman Last Son is also really good. If you ever read that one.
What's the Alan Moore one? The classic Superman one? It's like what do you get for the man who has everything?
Who has everything.
That's a good one.
That one's amazing. You can find it in a trade with Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Which is
also really good.
Exceptionally good. Lord Mordor, what you'll find out early on is that you don't bother with
don't bother with incontinuity sometimes, because sometimes the more original graphic novels are really well made.
Look for writers, is what I'm saying.
Writers as well. Actually, the Superman Batman stuff was really fun.
Yeah.
That came out around the time that Jeff Loeb and them were working on. Those are just fun in general. The Super Sons is a lot of fun, too.
Oh, I like Superman for All Seasons?
Yes.
Is that what it's called? The Millar one? Was that Millar?
No, I think it's Jeff Loeb.
Jeff Loeb? Okay.
That one's great. Millar has some great Superman stuff. You know what's crazy? Some of my favorite Superman stories came from the comic series that was based on the animated series from the 90s.
Okay.
Because Mark Millar actually wrote like a handful of them.
You know, it's weird. I feel like Millar is like Two-Face because
he is.
I've read some really bad Millar stuff, but I've read some really good Millar stuff as well. Like,
he has some really dark shit.
Yeah.
Even in that one of the Superman comics, it has like one of the darkest things I've read. Superman, the fuck was the name of it that he wrote? What the hell was it? Not Reborn. It's part of Man of Steel is rumored to be based on it.
Okay.
But it was like his version of the origin that I really liked. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Shit.
That Millar wrote?
Yeah, I have it too, which is the thing.
Is it just called Superman?
No, it's got like a subtitle to it. I just can't remember the name of it for the life of me.
Okay.
Red Sun's great though.
Oh, Red Sun.
Red Sun's really good.
Is that Millar?
Yes.
No. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
As far as I remember, it was.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great what if stories though that are very strange. One of my favorites is it's called Secret Identity. It's about a Superman from like it's about a guy named Clark Kent in the real world.
Is it who like Max Landis wrote or whatever?
No, this was like years ago before he even wrote something. Like he was what happens is that there's a kid named Clark Kent. Like in the real world, like he hates being called Clark Kent because people keep giving him shit for it. And so he one day he takes a nap outside and wakes up with all of Superman's powers, and it's him dealing with his life. Like it's different stages of his life being Superman, like being a Superman in the real world without showing anybody that he's Superman.
Who was the guy that did 100 Bullets that did that run on Batman where it was like very detective oriented?
I don't remember. That's the thing is that I'm really bad about writers, ironically enough.
Okay, so 100 Bullets was made by Brian Azzarello. Is that correct? And then he did a run on Batman, if I'm not mistaken, that was like very much a detective-oriented Batman because he's like a very noir kind of guy.
All of the John Byrne Superman stuff is fantastic, by the way.
See, most of my experience with DC Comics are before the New 52 split and back in the olden days of the 2000s when I had, man, at a certain point, you either gotta start half-assing stuff or you gotta stop. Okay, let me just put it this way, Michael. In the 90s when I spent $200 a week on comics, I stole every video game I ever played. Like, I've made up for that, man. I have paid for every single game that's come out. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, there's plenty of stuff out there. I'd say just like check out some stuff and see what's going on.
Birthright, that was the one I was thinking of.
Okay. I know that Michael and I are both really.
Oh, it was Mark Waid. Sorry, that was my fault.
Of What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, the American Way.
That story is amazing.
It's just a single story. It doesn't. I don't know that it's quite going to hit as well home if you don't know who the Authority is, which is also really good. I'm a real big Warren Ellis fan.
I still think its sequel's fine. The one that I got you for your birthday.
Yeah.
Never Ending Battle.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fine. There's a lot of great Justice League, like you said, with Grant Morrison. Recently, Scott Snyder's Justice League has been a lot of fun so far.
Okay.
Teen Titans is interesting. Young Justice just started, comic book wise, that Bendis is doing, which I'm liking so far. It's only got like 2 issues in.
Okay.
Trying to think. I like Green Arrows ever since Rebirth started again, so those are great.
No, that's enough.
Yeah, there's a lot of great
read all of those.
Yeah, read a bunch of what we said. Read all the Superman stuff from when John Byrne started doing it, because all of that stuff, like all of your favorite Superman like animated series and Lois and Clark stuff, was based on that specific kind of start. So
okay. Oh boy! All right, we're just gonna do a couple more real fast. Let's see. This is an interesting question, but it's long, so we'll do this one, and then we'll do one more that I feel like is for you. Okay. This one says, Dear Jeff and John, it's Nakato. Let me get straight to the point. I'm way behind. Let me explain. I work as a freelance translator from home. Because this job requires a lot of concentration, I am unable to listen to podcasts while working. I also don't get out as often as I should. As a result, I am way, way behind on listening to your sexy, sexy voice. But I am trying to catch up. Just the other day, I finally listened to your E3 podcast from last year. In them, you mentioned the announcements of Fallout 76 and your cautious optimism about what the game could be. Listening to your somewhat nervous thoughts on how you could see how the game could work, and knowing what a shit show the game has actually been since launch, I had to laugh, shake my head, and say, you poor, poor man, you have no idea. Anyhow, my question is, have you ever gone back to a statement or opinion you used to hold about something before its release where the outcome was nothing like you expected? How did it make you feel? Did you wish for a time machine so you could go back and warn your naive self? Second question, how do you stay in shape working from home? My wasteland is expanding and it terrifies me. Best of luck to you. And I guess I'll see if you use my question in 6 to 8 months or so. That's from Nakato. To the wasteland working from home, I have lost that battle. I have given in to the gods. I got some of those new jeans with the stretchies in them.
That's what I'm wearing right now, actually.
Yeah, they're comfy.
I don't work from home, but I lost that battle ages ago, too.
Yeah. As far as looking back, I mean, like, okay.
I have a great answer for this, actually.
Oh, do you?
It was Batman versus Superman. Because I was going through my Facebook feed. Because, you know, Facebook has, like, a memories or whatever. I had a memory that was from when I worked at Sam's Club when it was announced, and it's basically just me going, a Superman Batman movie. There's no way this could end badly. And I kept looking at him like that naive motherfucker.
You know, I mean, here's the thing.
He was so excited too. There was exclamations and everything.
I have gotten to a point where I try, and I'm not always successful, but I try very hard to remember that it's okay to be wrong about shit.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, I've been a Cassandra from time to time. Like, I don't know, you were a long time fan before you ever came over and started podcasting with me. So I don't know if you remember, but when they announced Watch Dogs, I was like, meh, and everybody was like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is the greatest game I've ever seen in my life. I was like, man, maybe leave a little more.
I remember that, actually.
And I was like, Jeff, you're such a fucking buzzkill. And then it's like, Watch Dogs comes out, and I'm just like, no, well, you know, so
it turns out you were mostly right.
As time has gone on, one of the major things that I've done is I try to preface everything by saying in my opinion. I think this is just what I believe because, all right, listen, some people don't like Dark Souls and they're crazy, and that's fine. You can be a crazy person in this crazy, crazy world. Somebody's got to be crazy. Might as well be you, person who doesn't like Dark Souls. I like Dark Souls, but I never want it to come across like I'm trying to make other people like Dark Souls. Like, if you have an interest in Dark Souls and you want to know how to get past the Taurus demon, fucking send me a message and I will give you 8 tips. It's one of the only things that I respond to when it comes to messages. But so, Fallout 76, you look at it, and the thing is that you never want anything to be bad. You look at this stuff and you go, I want this to be good. I wanted to like Kingdom Hearts, like I wanted it to be a game that could be the thing, the anchor that got me into that franchise.
Yeah.
Now, there's always a twinge in the back of my head. I'm old enough and I have enough experience playing a fucking ass ton of video games that I can look at Kingdom Hearts and go, this is probably not going to end well, but I'll give it a shot. On the other hand, I still want stuff to happen. So yeah, I get it wrong. I definitely get it wrong. Sometimes I get it right. Sometimes I get it wrong.
Yeah, my Facebook feed is full of me just being excited about something and then being disappointed probably like a week later.
Yeah. I mean, I've been let down a bunch of times and I've said the wrong thing a bunch of times. Hell, last week, I got an argument with somebody on Discord because I was talking with John about the death and return of Superman. And this person was basically saying that I was treating it like, because there was the whole lead up to the actual fight, and then there was the fight, and then there was the return of Superman and the reign of the Superman and all that stuff, and how all of that this person considered to be under the umbrella of the death of Superman. I personally just bought the one copy of the one issue of Superman and Doomsday beating each other up, and I misremembered it, and I talked out of my ass last podcast. I was wrong. And then I came back to that person, and I said, I was wrong. But when I think of Superman, I think of Grant Morrison's JLA run, the animated series in Justice League Unlimited, and like Christopher Reeves. And that's what Superman is in my brain, right? So like, I like Superman, but I'm not an expert on it. I just like this certain depiction of Superman that I see in a few different places. And when it veers off from that, it tends to get me a little combative. But in any case,
I still like Death and Return, to be honest.
Yeah, I actually liked, there was a series, I don't remember what it was called, where like the time guys, like one of the time guys, it's a bunch of time guys in the DC universe.
The Wave Riders?
Yeah. Like one of them went and got Superman and took him back to show him how Doomsday was created.
Oh yeah, I have that.
Fought, and then they went to he throws Doomsday into the end of the universe or whatever.
It's Superman Doomsday Hunter Prey.
Yeah.
Is the name of that.
I thought that was okay. I read that a long time ago.
I almost bought the action figure 2-pack they came out with that around the 90s. There's a lot of like Superman comic action figures around that time.
But at the end of the day, Nakato, I'm just going to say, hey, here's the thing. Man, you're going to be wrong in your life sometimes. I think that in America, this goes to grand philosophies. I think in America, we actually put too much of an emphasis on being right all the time. And that I think it's very instructive to be wrong. 1, it teaches you humility. 2, it teaches you to say, I think or I believe before everything that you say.
It's only what a loser says. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
If you're not first, you're last, Ricky. About it.
You know what? It's fine. I'm all right. I'm all right now with being...
No, I'm totally fine with being wrong nowadays.
There's plenty of people out there. The problem is that there's just too many fucking things. If I worried all the time about being right, I'd never speak, right?
No, absolutely.
Because
I would not work in tech support.
Well, there's that, yeah. But I mean, like, having an opinion about anything, I don't like the Aladdin genie. Maybe the Aladdin movie comes out as fucking badass, man. Maybe they redub all of Jafar's lines and it sounds super great. Maybe the CGI just looks crappy in this trailer, and when it comes out, it's going to be the greatest fucking live-action movie ever.
See, that's my thoughts on that, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, it might just be early CGI, to be honest. It could look better in the final product.
Maybe Frozen 2 is going to be the greatest movie that's ever been released. It's the high point of all Disney parts, and we're all going to be weeping like babies the 8th time we go to the theater to see Frozen 2, even though we're fucking grown-ass men.
Exactly.
Who cares? Like, the worst thing that could happen, I mean, I don't know. You get let down by stuff, and that's fine. I don't let games far enough in to, like, ruin my day by being bad. To me, it's more of a shock than anything else. It's more like, holy shit, No Man's Sky is really that bad. Oh, yeah, it is that bad. Wow, wow, it's been a while since we got lied to that hard. You know,
I think nowadays it's easier to tell something is going to be bad from a distance nowadays, though.
Yeah.
Like Crackdown is a good example of that. It's like, well, you know, Crackdown took this long to make. There's no way it's going to be as great as everyone thinks it's going to be.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. I mean, you can kind of tell. But see, then you get shit like Anthem, where I can't tell. Where I'm just like, I literally can't tell whether this is going to be any good or not. So.
But we didn't let it into our hearts, and so we weren't wrong or right. So
the way I look at it is, if you remain kind of neutral, then if something comes out that you don't have any expectations for, and it's great, you could be pleasantly surprised. And it comes out and it's bad, you could be like, oh well, you know. To this day, me and my friend went into the first Fantastic Four movie with zero expectations, and we walked out and went, I don't know, it was fine with me, man. It was 90 minutes. Bad guy got beat up. I ate some popcorn. High five, bro. Let's do it again next week. Like, and
that was my thoughts. The first Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Now the second one
expectations.
was dick.
It was bad.
Just total garbage. But you know, anyway. So yeah, I don't wish that I could go back and change time, except that maybe go back to high school. If I could go all the way back to high school, I think I might choose that, just because I'd be like, oh man, and know all the shit that I know now. Fuck, man. Well, first off, I got to go back in time. I'd be a zillionaire. But see, if you just wanted to de-age me and put me back in high school now, I would suck at it.
Yeah.
They're all into TikTok and fucking Instagram and shit. I don't know any of that stuff. They're worried about becoming Instagram famous. I don't know what yeet means, all right?
I don't either, actually. Does anyone know what that means? I have no fucking idea.
Somebody does. Apparently, when you dab, you're supposed to say it or something.
I barely understood what you just said.
Yep. So I don't know. I'm a 40-year-old man. I got a dog. I got some friends. It's fine. If I want to say the wrong thing, say the wrong thing. Say the wrong thing.
Yeah, no idea.
All right. One more. Brandon writes in and says, I hope I made it in. I saw the call, but I was an hour late. Jeff and Gloria's co-host, I'll guess Michael. Brandon here with another one of them questions. My friend wants to be roommates, but I've never done the whole roommates thing before. It'd be great financially, but I'm still leery about living with a friend. Any thoughts or advice on the matter? Also, you got any good roommate stories? Thank you. And that's from your loyal patron, Brandon.
So, I've done both sides of this, where
you've been the controlling roommate, and you've...
Well, we were, like, when I first moved out, I lived with a friend of mine from high school, and we both kind of sucked at being roommates to each other, because we were very similar in our thoughts and certain things, and so we would fight all the time about random shit. My favorite, though, was that we fought over Mass Effect, of all things. What happened was that he bought Mass Effect used, and he started playing it, and I started playing it, and we both got addicted to it at the exact same time, and we only had one copy between the two of us.
Oh, shit.
So we fought like crazy to be the one playing it. My favorite story for that one is that my friend was really bad about putting his games away. So I just put the game away. I put it in its case. And so we got back from work, because we worked together at a movie theater. And I grabbed the case slowly and walked to my room and locked the door. And I just waited, and I heard him go, son of a bitch, like as loud as he could. He starts banging on my door. I'm like, I'm saving the universe. Go fuck yourself. And so shit like that happened all the time.
You could just come up with a schedule?
No, we couldn't.
Because
we worked like around the same time. And
Wednesdays, I play on Thursdays. You know.
We did eventually, but like for the first week, it was a lot of just like whoever got to it first was the winner. And so
how old was this?
I was like 18. This was like 2008, 2009.
That tracks. That sounds about right.
So, and I didn't have a car either, so he drove me everywhere too. So it was a whole thing. But that was we learned a lot about each other. That's the thing, is that you learn a lot about each other when you start living with somebody. Yeah. And so at that point, I know we weren't exactly the best roommates. So like I still talk to him every now and then, but the relationship changed is a good way of putting it. But the current roommate I have now, he was my friend prior to it as well, but we're doing perfectly fine. Like, we still have some issues. Really what it comes down to, though, is that don't be passive-aggressive. Yes. If you have an issue with him, just fucking tell him.
Yes.
You're adults now.
Yes.
And you can just move past that. Like, if my roommate gets mad at me because he's like, I need you to take the trash out, you need to do it. I'm like, okay, cool. I will do it because he told me. If he's just like, well, the trash is getting a little full.
Yes.
Wink, wink. And then you're going to resent each other because you're fucking with each other. That's really what it comes down to.
I used to live in a 2-bedroom apartment. I had this girl named Mike who was my roommate. Probably shouldn't say her name. Don't worry, it's not a thing. Anyway, so I had the master bedroom, and I smoked inside, and the master bedroom was right from the front door, and she had the rest of the apartment basically.
Yeah.
And we would get into passive aggressive hissy fits with each other where we wouldn't talk to each other for like 6 months, and then it'd come time to renew the lease, and it would be like, bum, 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 you got to go sign the lease. And then like 2 months after that, eventually we just get tired of being mad. That was how we resolved our issues. But so here's, if I could say, to me, the biggest thing with roommates, there's 2 things that you really need to synchronize with your roommates. One of them is cleanliness, and the other one is schedule.
Yeah.
If you work nights and your roommate is like, doesn't, or like, okay, listen, if you sleep between 3 in the afternoon and 11 o'clock at night and your roommate is off work there and likes to listen to death metal, you're going to have a problem, right?
Yeah.
You need to make sure that your schedules are at least somewhat compatible with each other. Like if you work second shift and you get off work at midnight and you like to play computer games, maybe get some headphones if they're going to be loud, if your roommate's trying to sleep or whatnot. Like, just respect the fact there's a whole lot of freedom that you give up in living with each other. That's what you get for your money right there.
No, absolutely.
Is that you're selling some of your freedom for money or for the ability to live in a nicer apartment or in a certain area or whatever.
A little more comfortably.
Yes. So just be aware that, I mean, like, as near as I can tell, most of the time, I think it's kind of a given that if you're living with a roommate, you're going to put your computer in your room, right?
Or you should, at least.
You should put your computer in your room.
Well, depending on what you're using it for.
Computers and or gaming systems in separate bedrooms, and then a common area that can be negotiated over. But like, you want to have a place where you can go, where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad to know, where you can watch a movie. Like, if you want to watch a movie by yourself, you kind of want a lock on your door. It doesn't need to be a key lock, but you at least want one of the little push-in ones.
Yeah.
So that if you're home and you don't want anybody coming in your room, you want a little private time, maybe you're watching other kinds of movies, then you can lock the door for that. But step one is make sure that your schedules are relatively similar. The other thing is, oh my God, please, for the love of all that is holy, if you're not the same type of person when it comes to cleanliness, at least make sure that whoever is less clean is willing to work in that direction, and whoever is more clean is willing to let it slide a little bit, because I have destroyed many a roommate relationship with the fact that I'm more of a slob than they are, and they expect me to fucking take the trash out the minute it hits the top of the can instead of pushing that shit down and put some more Whataburger in there. It's also good to have established responsibilities of, like, you could say, you know what? Dishes are all mine, but that means trash is all yours, right? Like, I will trade you all the dishes, no matter what it is, but you must take the trash out once every 2 days or whatever it is.
Sometimes it'll just happen on accident. Like, my roommate, he does all the dishes, but I wash all the towels, basically, and I also take the trash out because I am the stronger of the two.
Yeah,
but he's a little cleanlier than I am. But he's right about, like, making certain things separate from each other, because that's one of the issues that we have, is that everything for some reason electronically is in our living room. Because he put a table in the back of it, so he can. Because he doesn't really have room in his room for some reason. Yeah. You have his laptop, so my laptop's back there. Also because the router's like right there too.
Also, a lot of times smaller apartments won't have room for both a bed and
exactly.
Especially if you have like a queen size bed. If you're not rocking like a twin or something, then you might not have room for a table.
And all of my systems are in the living room, or not all of them, but the main systems I use, as well as my TV, because I have the bigger TV of the three of us, or not the three of us, the two of us, because I have two TVs. But my PS4 is connected to it, my Switch is connected to it, my Super Nintendo is connected to it, that kind of thing. And so every now and then, my only issue with him sometimes is that he'll want to watch something and I want to play something.
Right.
But I supersede him because it's all my shit. And so, you just have to be like,
you gotta be careful about that stuff too.
Yeah, you have to be careful about that because that's the thing is I don't just immediately go like, no, fuck you. You don't get to watch Hereditary or whatever. I'm gonna play Crash Bandicoot instead. Like, no, I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna let you watch what you're watching. Mm-hmm. I have a million other things. I have my comics. I have my 3DS. I have my laptop. I have my phone. I have podcasts on my phone. Yeah. There's a million other things I could do either way. So sometimes it accidentally lets me do other things that I've been meaning to do. So sometimes that ends up working sometimes, but it really depends on your relationship with that person. Mm-hmm. Like you have to be willing to give up something, but they also have to be willing to give up time for something too.
It also a lot of it comes down to what you were saying. Do not let shit fester. Talk it out even though it's hard. If you get in the habit of talking about stuff, it's better. If the other person is reticent to talk, see if you can draw them out to talk about it because trust me, as somebody who's literally gotten into, dude, there was one time where we were mad at each other for 10 months.
Oh, like, damn.
We didn't speak to each other. I came home from work, went into my room, smoked, had fast food, had a bathroom in there, played. I had my TV and my computer and everything. Just played games with my door closed, went to bed, got up, walked right out the front door. We didn't really even talk to each other for almost a full year one time because we were both mad. And at the end of it, I don't know if we even really knew why we were so mad anymore. But the thing is, try not to let that shit fester. It helps if you're both in the same kind of like you don't want an odd couple situation where you got a super uptight person and a super hippie, right? Yeah. Like you like to be kind of similar taste, similar spectrum, but just respect each other and realize that the money that you're getting does come with a price, you know.
My dog does accidentally help though.
Yeah.
The dog is the accidental mediator between the two of us. Because if at any point I'm mad at something and he's mad at something, the dog's just like, fuck both of you. You both need to take me out. And so we'll both calm down long enough to be like, yeah, we got to take care of the dog.
Yeah. Yeah, good luck. Remember, it's not just it's not a simple thing. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you can get the perfect roommate, and when you guys...
It's rare, though.
You get together. My first roommate and I were really good. We both were on the same page with just about everything, and we both, like, dove into each other's... Like, I brought all my VHS tapes, and he had all of his crazy CDs, and so I gave him movies, and he gave me music, and so it was, like, really good. But, yeah, just take it slow, take it easy. Also... Think about it. You know, most of the time when you sign this, you're going to be doing a 6-month lease at minimum. So you don't want to be 3 months in and pull a Job. So.
Yeah, it's been 3 years with my roommate, or at least this one. So it's been working fine. So
good.
You'll be fine as long as you don't try to murder the other, really.
Absolutely. Mail@RageSelect.com is the email address to write your questions into. Michael, when you're not here, you are other places on the internet.
You can find me on oneofus.net as well as Geek Bombast with John Sitton.
There you go. Check them out in all those places. Also, if you are not already in on this Discord shit, you need to get in on this Discord shit. We're in there chatting. Sometimes I'm mad at stuff, and sometimes I'm happy about stuff. Sometimes I'm posting videos and music from the internet, and sometimes I'm a jerk. So... you get to see all the sides, all the seasons of Jeff.
I'm looking at the Discord right now.
In the Discord server. So, yeah, $5 a month. That's all it takes. And it helps Rage Select to be a thing. Check it out. Do it. Do it.